Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Chevron 1, coded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry hammer, and let's set the tongues of war.
Chevron 2 is coded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
It's all in the reflexes.
I'll also say that you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Not for while you can, monkey boy.
Great Scott.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome to Saturday Night Drive-In. I'm your host, Adam, the Renaissance Nerd, and I am joined by my illustrious panel as we're going to talk the 13th Warrior tonight. I'm excited about this one. I watched it yesterday. It's still so good. It's still so good. All right. How are we all doing tonight? Let's go around the horn, get everybody revved up. We are back. We're ready. And we're going to have some fun tonight. Jed, hello to you, sir. How are you?
Howdy. We've made this joke a lot, but it actually has been a long time since I've seen you, man. It's been more than a day this time.
And last time, you were just a voice. I didn't actually see you. You were just a voice as I boomered my way through God of War.
That's true, yeah.
Wednesday, yeah.
Just a voice in your head.
It's a lot of things. A lot of things just voices in my head. Dermy.
Hi.
Low there. I see you.
Low there. Hi. I'm having a good day, you know. I did the meme stream earlier, got some pizza, had Jed on the meme stream, had a lot of fun talking with him and the boys over there. And before I left to pick up some food before the stream, Jed said something that I might hate him tonight, so I don't. I'm worried about that.
I didn't get a chance to watch it. In fact, I forgot it was today. So I admit that. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot it was today. I was busy since I got up this morning, and then trying to make sure I didn't boomer anything. I boomered nothing.
Hey, I will say, actually, both Adam, Lady B, and Mustang got a shout out on the meme stream.
Uh-oh, what did I do now?
Jed just said Lady B. We both said Renaissance Nerd. We'll be over here, and I showed Mustang's meme.
Yeah, I said you
That's
simped
dangerous.
for Adar, Lady B. That's what I was mentioning, is you simping for Adar.
Adam, I have the evidence that you've boomered, and you still don't even know what you did.
What? What'd I do?
We're not live.
No, we're live.
We're live.
Damn it! You were supposed to wait for him to check, Dermy.
I see it says end broadcast in front of me. I know we're live. I can see how many viewers are on. It says live right here. I have the studio up right here because now whenever we start, I make sure I have the studio to make sure the goddamn intro is actually up and it's not all just sitting here like this.
I'm just going to say it. Hey, everybody, Go look in the score section and see what our scores are, and tell me how you spell my name.
I can't spell. I can't spell.
That's what
Hey,
spell
I
check
could
is
be-
for.
I could barely spell your
Well, I
name.
haven't put the
I'm a
scores on it,
published
it's just not
author. Without
there.
spell check, I'd still be in the dark
Oh,
ages.
it's an E. Fine, whatever. I never claim I can spell. This is bad spelling. It's not a boomer, and I've never claimed I'm good spelling. Spell checker is my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Same here.
Jet
And even
understands
then,
that, yeah.
it cheats
Oh,
me
yeah.
sometimes.
Some of you have seen text of mine. Spell checker on the phone is not.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, I hate messaging because it replaces words that you don't want. It's like, I'm writing this word. This is the word I want. No, don't replace it with your stupid word that you think I want to say. No.
I like it when it has the suggestions at the top, but don't actually replace it without my permission.
Oh, I see. I don't do that. See, I'm using like Messenger on the computer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's not giving me suggestions. It's just changing it as I type it because it's like, Lady B, how are you?
Oh my goodness, I have had better days. I am dealing with I have a really bad sty in my eye, so I'm back on the sunglasses grind. So, and it has just made me not feel amazing. So I think I'm kind of just run down, and I've been working a lot because my phone died and trying to make up for almost 2 weeks with no work. So.
Yeah, I mean, I know about styes. My mom has complained about throughout my life about styes, and it's women in eye makeup.
Yeah, it's like I at one point in time detoxed all my personal care thing, and then I just I ran out of eyeliner. I'm just gonna buy this cheap stuff. I should have got the natural hypoallergenic stuff, but I didn't. And
I get styes from time to time. They're freaking annoying. Yeah. And no, I don't wear eye makeup. I just have very long eyelashes.
I have girl lashes, but I don't get styes. I got girl lashes. I admit it.
They're not fun.
No, they're not. Hey, Mustang.
Hello. My day's been good until I found out that we had a Comic-Con in town that nobody had really done anything to promote. I want to go.
Yeah, I don't want to go to a con.
I
went to Dragon Con once. It wasn't fun.
Dragon Con was so fun. Oh my gosh, the parties there.
I didn't enjoy it. Well, no. See, we drove in from my buddy's house, and we waiting in line. Didn't get to go to all the panels, and then they didn't let us in because the Claudia Black one was all full up, and we couldn't go in. And I didn't have a good time. I didn't really have a good time. You have to be there to have a good time. You can't drive in from an hour away and then take the train, and you can't do that. We drove, then we took the train in, and it wasn't a good time. That whole trip was a mess anyway. He had roaches, and I wasn't happy about that. I left early because of that.
I said, had I known, I could have got Dermy to come down because I saw some of the cosplayers in the parking lot. And yes, please.
Oh, I don't cosplay.
I don't like Comic-Cons. Cosplayers are nice, but I have
you saw the list, didn't you, Dermy?
Yeah, a lot of those anime voice actors I don't listen to. I don't like them.
I don't want to know who voices anything. That's another discussion for another show. Anyway, we're here to talk 13th War. Before we get started, hail to the chat. Happy to have you all here. Aragmar Virillion is not here. He had another stream, apparently. So if you catch on a replay, hail to you. Hail to Algrim the Strong. Always good to have you back with us, good sir. Scrolling down, I see Legatus has arrived. Hail Legatus. Hail to Kayla Dare. Hail Kale, how you doing? And hail Grump. We see Grump, one of our co-hosts.
Hail Grump.
On it's called Roundtable. That's what it's called. it stopped. It stopped. It just wouldn't happen.
You just had my problem. We're not drunk. We're just
I'm distracted. I don't know. Anyway, and if you're just watching and not chatting, we're happy to have you here on What's Always Going. Hail Jujos Dread just says hail you. And we're ready to have a good time. 13th Warrior. This was my pick this week. I wanted to. Everybody was talking about Vikings this, Vikings that the previous week, and I thought, I'm gonna do it, and I did it. And this movie is great. It's very hard for me to find anything wrong with it. I remember when I first saw it; it was on TV, and now I can say this. I teased it the other night on a stream. When I first saw this, I wasn't the biggest Antonio Banderas fan. I saw him like, oh man, they're gonna put him in here. He's gonna be the big hero. the fact that he is not the big hero makes this movie great. That he's there, he's part of it, and in fact, he's the observer, he's the chronicler of this, in a sense. And when that happened, that immediately put this on my watch list, and I used to watch it over and over again, and then bam, I think I got my copy here in. Where did I get this? I think I got it in. It was either, I want to say Sam's Club or Big Lots.
I was just gonna say it seems something like you get like at the Dollar Tree or like Big Lots or something.
It wasn't more than $5. Maybe I paid $3. I didn't pay a lot for this, and it shows because the quality of a DVD, it's not my greatest, not the greatest pressing of it. It's okay, and you can't find a Blu-ray on it. I looked yesterday because I wanted to put it on my upgrade list, but I couldn't find it.
They're hard to find.
Yeah, so I'm stuck with this version right here. But yeah, so I saw this. What year is this? What year is this? Let me look.
It's 99.
I don't know when it had to be at least a year or two later because I saw it on regular television. I saw it on regular TV.
saw it in the theaters.
Yeah, I didn't see this in the theaters. So
I definitely didn't see it in the theater.
Yeah, because you
Were you even born, Jed?
He was a sperm.
Well, yeah. Yeah, he would have been a sperm.
I can tell you where I saw it, Lady B. United Artists Theater, Riverside, California, Tyler Mall parking lot.
Yeah, I think I saw it in Ontario Mills.
Yep, that would have been the only two at the time that had it.
Yep.
Unless you went into LA.
Yeah, so I was late to this one, and then I realized how good it was, and then when I really started building, I had to have bought it well into the aughts because I didn't start building my DVD collection till like 2003 or 2004. It was after I came back from New York and culinary school, so it had to be 2005 because I didn't carry movies around with me back then. I still had my VHSs in a drawer at home.
Oh God,
that were there.
I remember those days.
I wasn't upgrading to DVD, so I didn't buy this until at least maybe 05 or 06. That's when I really started building on my library, and I was so happy to have it because I'm like, damn, I could watch this movie every time, and just like when I watched it yesterday, I'm fully satisfied. I'm completely satisfied at the end. But so Jed, was this the first time you saw this?
It was indeed. Yeah, I watched it last night, and this is the reason why I thought Dermy might hate me tonight. Is that it was all right.
I don't hate you for that.
I think
there's plenty of flaws.
Mild reaction to it. Like I don't think I'll ever go out of my way to watch it again. It's like, it was fun. Okay. I enjoyed it. I mean, yeah, it's a movie. There's some good action.
All right. Well, we'll have our
really
chance
wasn't
to
super impressed.
We'll have to discuss this.
Okay. We got time. We're gonna get into it. Dermy, you said to me off air.
I have a history with this. Actually,
this is like one of your favorite movies. This is one of your favorite movies.
Yes, it is. It is one of my favorite movies. Like, this is something that I will go to, sit down, watch if I just want something to comfort. Like, it's one of those comfort movies for me. I originally saw it, came out in 99. I want to say my dad bought it in 2000 for VHS. And that's the original copy that I have. And I have it on VHS, and I keep it back there and everything, along with the VHS and the VCR and all that. I remember watching it for the first time and being utterly terrified about it. Because I was a young little dude, because I would have been like 4 or 5 when I first saw it.
Oh, jeez.
Baby!
Wow.
It scared the crap out of me. I didn't go back for another year or two, sat down, watched it again, and just fell in love with it. There's just something about this story that I do not think is above criticism. I have plenty of criticism. I think it's one of my favorite movies out there. I don't rank it up there as like a 10 out of 10. But I love this movie so freaking much. I have a DVD, I have a VHS. I did find a Blu-ray. I don't know where it is right now. And I have multiple copies of it. on my PC as well and on thumb drives. Like, this is one of my favorite movies.
Oh man,
I have it on my phone.
Wow.
This is a movie that I will sit down and just watch.
Wow, that is hardcore. That's hardcore, and you get points for that. All right, so what this movie? When I first sat down to see it, I had no idea. It's one of those movies where when I first sat down to see it, I had no idea what it was going to be about. The title, as Mustang has pointed out over and over again, is a far cry from the title of its source material, which is Michael Crichton's Eaters of the Dead. And I didn't,
better.
I didn't realize that John freaking McTiernan directed this movie.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't register until I watched it yesterday. Like, oh shit, John McTiernan directed this. Holy shit. Okay.
It's a interpretation of Beowulf.
Yeah,
and possibly
that's
one
the
of
thing.
the interpretations of Beowulf.
It's the certain things are Beowulfy. When I first saw it, I had to make sure they weren't calling Bullvi Beowulf. Like, wait, no, that's actually when I first heard it, I thought it was Bullvine. When I first heard it, I kept saying Bullvine, but that Bullvi, I kept thinking Bullvi Beowulf. No, Bullvi. Okay, Bullvi. Okay, and but this is one of those movies. Like I said, when I went into it, I had no idea what I was getting into. Realizing, oh, okay, I recognize some stuff. It feels Beowulfy. Oh, we got Vikings. Oh, those aren't monsters. Those are just dudes in bear costumes. Okay. And I'm into this. I'm enjoying this. Okay, this is great. It's just, it's a nice, straightforward, knows what it is movie. Is that a fair thing to say? It knows exactly what it is. Doesn't try to be anything more.
It has a simple story. Guys go to save a bunch of people or defend a bunch of people they have no real connection to, but they're going to do the right thing.
Yeah. So let's get into it. What is the 13th Warrior about? Is starring one Antonio Banderas. He is the biggest name in this movie. Next to, of course, Omar Sharif. He's more of just a
Omar Sharif was awesome. I was so happy to see him.
It's just he's in there for the beginning and then he's gone because he's but it's Omar freaking Sharif. But at the time, he's the star of this movie. All the other guys, got a young Tony Kern as Weath, and everybody else kind of not major. Not me. Who?
Blackfish.
Blackfish.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that guy. I was like, why does that guy look familiar? Yeah.
Oh well, yeah, that would go over my head. That's over my head. You know that. This movie is not pushing major star power, but the cast is still really well put together. Everybody kind of fits in their spot, does it well. Vladimir Kulich, who plays Bullvi, pulls off the strong silent type really well. I really dig it. I really like it. But anyway, so you get it. It's about Antonio Banderas, Ahmed Ibn Fadlan. We'll call him Ahmed. Ahmed, he is banished from his homeland in what is current day Iraq for lusting after another man's wife. Although it's not clear. Mustang, you might be able to tell me because you've read the book. In the book, does it say whether or not he actually slept with the woman or?
Oh, he was banging the hell out of the entire network.
Okay. So he was stooping another man's wife. And he was a powerful merchant who had the ear of the Sultan. And he gets banished, exiled into diplomacy. It's still exiled, but he's exiled into diplomacy to go for lands. And he's joined by his old family friend, played by Omar Sharif. We're call him Omar Sharif because better that way. And they are off into the world. And Mustang, you got a good map. Bring up your map again. Bring up your map. Mustang did some research for their journey from the Middle East all the way to what is it, Finland or is it Denmark?
It's actually Denmark. It's an island off of Denmark.
Okay. So you can see they started all the way in Baghdad. And we were sussing out before the show started that it's point number 3 where Ahmed runs into they're attacked by Tartars. This is the time of the Tartars where they're running around everywhere. And his caravan is attacked and they're fleeing to a river, and the Tartars pull up short because there's some Vikings coming down the river, and even the Tartars don't want no business with the Vikings, fully armed and operational, and ain't gonna take no shit. So apparently there's a nice little Viking encampment there because a king has died. And a bunch of guys are coming there to see who's going to take over. And one of them is Bolvi's group. And as they come in, basically Ahmed's going, okay, I'm a diplomat. Let's go meet these people. Let's do my job. And from there, it sort of begins. We get, and it does a really cool aspect of this. I mean, Lady P, I think you probably really appreciate this, where for the first half of the first act, everybody's speaking different languages.
Yeah, I was just gonna remark about, like, I really like the beginning of the movie because, like, having them there and them not knowing what's going on, and they're kind of trying to figure it out themselves, and they have Omar Sharif like translating it. I think it was a really awesome like narrative device to give exposition in a way that wasn't just like an info dump.
Yeah, I mean, we realized that Ahmed is speaking Arabic, so and when him and Omar are speaking, it's Arabic, but then Omar Sharif's character tries Latin first, doesn't strike home, but then one of the guys who's going to be our eventual party members points him towards the character name. And that's one of my few complaints is like they don't say the character names enough that I get them. I have to go look them up.
I think it's Rethel.
No, it's her.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's Rethel.
Rethel, is it? Well, I call him Mr. Dual Wield because he always dual wield. He's dual wielding throughout the movie.
Dual wielder.
I call him Mr. Dual Wield.
He's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah. So he directs him towards Herger, who is he's like your super buddy dude. He's your dude, bro. He's total dude, bro. He's awesome. And he's a badass. And he happens to speak Greek. So that enables Omar Sharif and Herger to communicate. And Herger becomes speaking Greek while everybody else is speaking Danish, I guess. They're speaking Danish. And it's going back and forth. And we're getting it. Voice finally translated back to Ahmed. And we learn that, again, the king is dead. And this is a gathering to celebrate him, and at the same time, it's to see who's going to be the next chief. And one of the cool things is though you get that classic Viking funeral. I mean, Jed, you're familiar with that type of thing from Witcher 3 when you go to Skellige.
Yes,
they put him on a boat, light him on fire, and they sent a chick with him to the afterlife. You got to go with him. And so go ahead. You can say something?
I'll go ahead on it. This is actually true. This is probably the last time, and it's been documented by historians, Ahmed Ibn, as they like to call him in the show. This is actually a true story by him. So this is his memoirs. You can go look them up. You can actually get them offline. They are on there. You can follow it. This is the last known actual Viking funeral ship that people know about. So it was really cool when I was doing my research on it to find that out.
They mentioned that too. This is the old ways. You will never see this again.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's a full-on Viking funeral, and then it's the after party, and they're celebrating, which is kind of it's that total Viking feel. It's like we're celebrating the death. We're not mourning. We're celebrating. We're talking about it. And at one point, and as it starts off, Ahmed is basically being introduced to Bolvi, one of the heirs apparent. And while Bolvi is communicating third party, dude tries to gank him. And Bolvi just draws a sword.
He's just like, bam.
Big ass gash. Dude goes down and is like, well, it's been decided. It's been decided. And you're right into it there. Go ahead.
It's just like, oh, somebody died. Okay, let's move on. And you feel like that's okay. You feel like everybody else is fine. And Ibn or Ahmed, whatever you want to call him, is there like, are we going to address this? No, this is a Viking funeral. Of course, people are going to freaking die.
And he's in shock, but you know what? He understands. Hey, he puts it to bed pretty quickly. He's like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna freak out about this. I'm gonna play my role, and then it takes the next day. Then the story is gonna pick up the next day where we get pointed in a real story. Because at this point, if you're fresh in this movie, you have no idea where it's gonna go. But then the next morning, and this scene gets me every time. Ahmed wakes up, sees a new boat has arrived overnight. There's a kid standing there, and he wants to question everything, but it's the beginning part of this that gets me. I guess the waking up motions of, hey, we gotta rinse and gargle, and we're all gonna share the same spitball, and then Herger does it, and then fires off a few from his nose into the bowl, and then hands it to Alma. It's like, oh, you want it? And they're like,
yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, thanks. I had bugs for lunch, basically.
Well,
I mean, that gets me every time because I'm like, oh.
It shows cultural differences. It shows
Yeah.
like, hey, oddly enough, not everybody's similar.
Yeah,
no way.
But it's still doesn't affect that it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
It's disgusting.
But I laugh every time. And then Ahmed asks the question, okay, kid out there, why is he out there? Oh, he's letting himself be seen. And like Dermy said, he's astonished because different cultures seen. We could see him. It's like, well, where we come from, is Herger translating through Omar Sharif, the misplaced tricks on us. We need to be sure. And then Mustang, it's where we get now a bit of the Beowulf coming in here. You know, we get the we come from a distant kingdom back in the homeland. There's a problem, and our king Hrothgar, that's actually Hrothgar, which is straight from Beowulf. So what happens then?
The adaptation for Beowulf came from it was actually a bet between Crichton and somebody else that they can make this into a good movie. So that's where the Beowulf comes into it, as he tried to into it. And I'd have to look up who the original director was going to be, but that's who it was. So you've got the kid that comes forward. He does it because, well, they've been drinking, and Vikings know. You're going to end up having him come in and basically tell him that an unnameable enemy is attacking their lands. In the books, well, from Ahmed's journey, what we are inferred to is they are Neanderthal. And so...
that's interesting.
Oh, the book is, it's incredible. If you can find a halfway decent English translation, his stories are, wow. I mean, there's stuff that we can adapt for years on. They're that good. But so that's what we get, and we're going to call in
the Ven. They call him the Ven in the movie. Right?
Yes, the Ven. Yeah. The Windu, the Ven.
Ven, like T-H-E-N?
The Ven, like W, but we say V instead of the W. Ven, the Ven.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Windu's the most accurate translation. And they're basically going to call for, I can't remember what the Norse, it's basically a witch.
Yeah. Kind of the seer.
Yeah.
She got the bones. She got the bones. Consult the bones.
And there must, she throws it out there. They're having, God, I wish we had the scene to play.
I still want to get, I could get it, but I don't want to get, I don't get claimed.
I could get it, but when that scene was going on.
The music, this is where the music really
the music.
I mean, now, the music is, it's got its one major theme is great, but it's just it's one of those ones where it's not something I'm seeking out for a soundtrack, but it's a perfect pairing to the movie.
Elevating the situation up.
Dun 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 dun, dun and I love it. First guy, bullseyes like, it's me. I'm number one. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And everybody's like,
it's very epic.
Me the first to on. Me the second to on. Yeah. 12th to on, and there's got to be 13. And a lot of the guys you've seen kind of brushed by the camera are the ones that, I mean, the most significant looking guys. Like, oh, these guys look special. They're not NPCs. These are characters in the game. And you can see they're all getting there. And it definitely and this is, I think, one of the reasons I like this. I get this RPG feeling from it when I'm watching it.
Yes.
Like I'm in a game. These guys are all equipped differently. They're all armored differently. They're all different skills, different jobs. And one by one they're doing it. And then she goes, I need number 13, basically, and everybody stops. And you realize very quickly that everybody's looking at Ahmed. And they do a really quick thing. I mean, Jed, they did this really good interesting where the camera work in that moment where it's switching back and forth from Ahmed, but then it switches to Omar Sharif, and it's really like first person. You're Ahmed, and Omar Sharif's looking right at him. It's like, it's you. It's you.
Well, the witch did something too where she picked up the little black figurine. And he was like one of the only people wearing all black.
But I really appreciate the camera. That's John McTiernan. That's all John McTiernan saying, yeah, I'm a good director. I know how to get the emotions. I know how to make you feel. The movie's looking at you. Everybody's looking at you. You are working right in the camera, and you're Ahmed in that moment. It's like, oh shit, it's me. Oh shit, it's me.
That little black figurine comes back.
It does?
It's a different the fertility figure is different than that one.
It's a little bit different, but it comes back. That they're basically the same. There's a little bit of a twist on them, but you'll recognize that they are the same.
Okay. We'll come back to that when we. I mean, normally, guys, we jump around, but you have to kind of. This is one of those movies where we need to kind of roll through it to talk about it. You can't just jump around because it, like Mustang said, it's a build. Everything's a build in this movie. And what's interesting, I mean, Jet, as a hero, a writer of heroes, do you appreciate Ahmed's journey from reluctant to I'm all in?
I do. I think it was a tad rushed. That's why I think the book might be a better version. But like the concept of not a hero to a hero is very basic when it comes to it, but it's a classic for a reason because it's so endearing. It's exactly how any of us would react in a situation like that. We wouldn't be heroes, and then we'd have to build ourselves to be heroes. So from a basic standpoint, yes, I do appreciate what they're trying to do with this character.
And I appreciate the steps taken. I mean, he can't do it their way. That's one of the things I like about Ahmed's journey from zero to hero, or the zero to functioning party member. I would say functioning party member. He doesn't do it their way. He does it his way a lot from his horse. The whole horse shtick.
That was funny.
They right as they're getting ready to leave, they're making fun of his horse because remember he's going with them. He can't speak their language, and right as they're going, they're making fun of his horse. He's got an Arabian, but they got big ass European steeds that are meant for carrying giant men, and he's got this nice little fine Arabian horse, but it's lighter and faster. And they call it the joke is only an Arab would bring a dog to war. Mm-hmm. And he does this shtick where he basically jumps over them all. But you know what I love about that moment? And I think you guys can appreciate too is that, again, that these are Vikings. They don't take this shit personally. When he shows them up, who was it? When he shows up, Tony Curran's character, Weath, when he shows him up and he jumps over when he goes face first in the mud, Weath gets up and he laughs. It's like, you got me. You got me. I'm uninsulted.
He did that because of the guy that's actually from the island who has the chain tattoo on his face. Mm-hmm. He's still pissed off from the night before when he finally learns how to talk. So he says the dog joke again, and that's when Ahmed or Eben or whatever you want to call him, because everybody calls him something different, shows up that, hey, he's at least decent at what he does.
Let's be honest.
He's not perfect.
Nobody uses his name, Ahmed, once except in the beginning. They basically, Herger calls him little brother for most of
little brother.
Little brother. But by then now, when that happens, we've gone through journey, and Mustang showed us the map. They go all across Eurasia, all across Europe, back to Denmark. And it's a long-ass journey, and that's one of the things, and that's fascinating it only shows a couple of encampment nights, but you get the impression he had to be a long time because he learned Danish.
I loved how they showed him learning the language, because that would be something really hard to show on film if you weren't showing somebody teaching him. But it's they show the conversations, there's nothing translated, and then you just hear a few lines in English, and then you hear some more in Danish, and then you hear some more in English. And I thought that was a very, very creative way to show that. And that was probably my favorite scenes in this movie was that, because it was just very unique way of doing that.
It's earned. It's one of those earning moments. And we appreciate that kind of thing. I love it's essentially training montage. And I love a good training montage. I love it. Montage. Yeah. I can't do a montage. So once they get to Denmark, then they have to transfer to a ship. And I know you guys can appreciate this, how they make you sure you can know that only those many horses can fit on that ship.
I was thinking, like, I was getting RP vibes. Like, I was like, what? Where did horses go?
It's a real ship, and the horses will fit in the hull, and they bring them back out because they need them. But we'll skip to when they're in Denmark now because the journey, and then basically at this point, Ahmed is now he's been slowly being part of it, and at one point, this is a really great underlying story arc in the movie, and there's a lot of payoff in this movie. Little things get paid off throughout the movie, and this is the first one of them, right? Mustang, where he teaches Bolvi about writing. When Bolvi asks him about writing,
that comes back because, well, we'll get to it at the end. You're right. I think we need to stay on track on this, but he's building a friendship with Bolvi, and it's a respected friendship, which that's so good to see instead of they're just friends because we're on the journey together. No, it has to be earned.
Yeah, it's and the
draw
thing is,
sounds,
and it draws sounds, and it's one thing that it's showing, and I like it that never once does anybody in the party and Ahmed, nobody's trying to steal Bolvi's thunder. Nope. He is the leader. He is the most badass guy in that group, and one of my favorite lines in the climax is related to that, but he's there and he's always smiling as he's smiling the whole time, watching Ahmed become more one of them, to learn their ways, to understand, to become assimilated into their structure, not enforcing his structure. And the whole that like you said, it's that bond that's formed between them because it's a bond of respect, and it comes back into play during when they're building the siege spikes, the anti-mountain. I'm having trouble. Leave me alone.
I know. No, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at just some of these scenes because just talking about them makes me smile, makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's for lack of a better term, it's wholesome. It's real. It's you feel it. And then they arrive in Denmark, and Kale's quoting it. They're yelling "Odin" into the mist.
That was cool.
There's a unique sound thing that if you pay attention when watching it during that scene, the first arrow, it shoots off and then it hisses hitting the water. The second arrow, when it hits, you can hear the thud.
Oh, yeah.
And the Odin is them calling out because if there's an echo, you can tell the distance over sea. As a captain as well, that's what I do. I'm a captain. Yeah. You can hear through the mist how far you are.
Good old-fashioned echolocation.
Yep.
And they get there, and then very quickly, I love that moment as they're getting settled, and they're just doing this. So they go, "Somebody's coming." Say, "Somebody's coming." Yep, I saw perfumed woman. No, it's a herald.
It's a silk-spotted messenger boy.
No respect. No respect. He's like, you're not a real man.
Can that be some new encoded YouTube language for a gay dude?
Silk-spotted messenger boy.
Man has serious Herald vibes.
We can use that.
My Herald radar's going off right now.
Hey, you know what? Let's make it a thing. Let's make it a thing. We can
do it.
I have a meme.
And then we quickly get transported to Hrothgar's domain, and it's a powerful introduction to what's going on because they won't even speak the word of the Ven yet. They won't even say the word. Herger's like, no, we don't say that word. We don't say that word. But once they get there, they have to start admitting it because they get there and they come in, they see the village. There's nobody there. And one of them says a line, there's barely a man between 10 and 40 or something like that. I think
it was 10 and 50.
Yeah, it's basically children and old men. That's it. That's all you got in women. And Lady B, the women don't count. They don't count. I'm sorry.
No. They're not warriors.
They are hardcore, though. They're hardcore.
They are. That's good. I like the women in this.
That one time later, when they think it's going to be all over in the climax, the queen gives it to Ahmed's possible baby mama. She might be pregnant. We don't know. She gives her a knife and says, "Don't let them take the children out." That means if we're going to lose, you kill the children. You do not let them be taken because we know what's going to happen. That's hardcore.
Yeah.
That's hardcore. So these are strong women without the necessary virtue signaling bullshit that SJWs think. Yeah, they're just represented. They understand their place. They're respected, especially like the old crone is respected.
Mm-hmm.
But they respect it and they know their role. And it's just it's just integrated society. Nobody's trying to overreach, and it's good.
There's somebody, but he gets bitch slapped real fast.
No, I'm talking about men and women. I'm talking about sex and stuff like that. Another 50 to 50. Thank you, Alcom.
No. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I was saying there's a character who's a little press, but
we'll get there. We'll get there because that again. We're going through this bit by bit. Usually we'll jump around, but this is a movie you gotta go through it by bit because it's all these great scenes. You don't want to miss them. They get to Hrothgar's his hall, and I love it. Bolvi enters, goes up, and he says, Hrothgar's like, "Welcome, welcome," but then Bolvi leans in very close, and says, "What troubles you, my lord?" Very quietly. And what I like about this is that whenever Bolvi interacts with Hrothgar, he's way past his prime. The respect. I dig the respect that he shows. I like that. And then Hrothgar tells us, Dermy, what does Hrothgar reveal to us then?
Well, let's see. He doesn't reveal much at that time because what happens is Bolvine comes in. He gets introduced by the herald that Hrothgar tells him, "Be quiet. I know who he is. I knew his father. I knew him." Bolvine. I can never say his name right.
Gotcha.
I always want to say
I put that in your
Bolvine.
head earlier. I pulled that in your head.
Bolvi.
Yeah, Bolvi. He's known Bolvi since he was a boy. Now he's a proper man. Bolvi leans in and says, "What troubles you?" I think he says "old man." I don't think he says "my lord."
No, he says "old man."
Yeah, he says "old man." Then, the dude looks shocked. Then we cut outside where they don't actually say the name of the people yet. They go like, "Do you actually believe him?" They haven't been seen in over 100 years. And it starts progressing like, what do we do? They've been asked to help out and they're planning stuff out. And then Eben, little brother, we'll just call him little brother from now on. Little brother looks into the distance and you see something moving. And he starts bringing people around, telling people like, "Hey, something's going on over there." And it's a little boy running away.
Yeah.
Stark ass naked.
That's covered in blood.
Yeah.
They go out there, he's screaming, and then the queen comes up, scoops him up, as I know where he's from, a farmstead out here. And we go out there, and then Jed, man, we see what the Vendel do to people out there when we get in there.
That was interesting about the kids. It was like when the first herald came, he wanted to be seen, and they said something about like they weren't sure if this was real or not.
Mm-hmm.
When they said the kids, and then it's kind of like the same thing with the second kid that's running back. I thought that was kind of interesting.
It's again payoffs, follow throughs. They don't leave anything behind. Everything comes together. Nothing's left to the wayside in terms of the process. But then so they go to the farmstead. And they see, like Jed said, it's a great introduction to what the Vendel do. It's horrific.
It's so horrific that the Vikings, after they break in there, they slowly walk out, and a few of them have to lean over because it is not.
Only little brother leans over. Only Ahmed.
He's the only one that barfs. But after they initially come out, like they're looking down, they're waving off, and one of them actually kind of leans. Like that's a lot to take in. That's
what I love before that, again, this is still Ahmed trying to not knowing what to do. He started moving, and old man Archer goes, "Don't get in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be in front of me. We don't know what's going to go down yet." So it's like, "Oh, yeah, sorry." And then they find this. They find the emblem of the mother there, in there, and it's just. And when I first saw it, I was like, "What is that? A fossilized turd?" When I first saw this movie.
It's a Lizzo.
Fertility symbol.
Yeah, it's like an old Neolithic sculpture that like was found in a cave or something in Europe.
It's the mother of the Vendel.
Now, what's great about this whole scene there is one,
Cheers.
They show us, then they tell us, and you see.
Thank you, Dad.
You see the gnaw marks on the legs, and Ahmed even says it looks like they've been gnawed upon. And just to make you, to me, I don't find that one of what we criticize all the time. They're telling us no, that's reaffirming what we saw there, because we might not be sure we saw it. Might be swoons. No, those were gnaw marks. People were chewed on in there, and they're missing their heads, and their limbs are cut off. And what I love is in the post of that when they're all talking on the outside, there's one who goes, "They're watching us. They're careful," and then you see one of them hiding in the bushes, and it's a great overlay of you're being.
You get
watched.
that unique music just as he moves in. You get that trombone and tuba and all that stuff just coming out.
You know what's interesting about this is I kind of appreciate it, like, because it is kind of like a travelogue thing. Is there's a verisimilitude of there's something that we don't understand, it's attacking us, and they just immediately assume that it's like a monster or something. It's like,
and that repeats. I mean,
yeah, and everything you find, you think that it's monsters and stuff like that, and.
Well, that speaks to their cultures as well, because little brother never really believes it's a monster. He's pretty much early on, it's a man. And that's something you'll see in their backgrounds as well from a religious standpoint. Norse mythology is rife with monsters of many kinds and shapes and great warriors defeating them, whereas the Arab mythology isn't quite as prone to monsters, at least nowhere near to the same degree. So that's another example of the cultural differences, is how they approach the situation and what they immediately assume it is.
You also have to take into account that little brother is Muslim. And not getting into statements, just acknowledgement. A lot of their culture believes in more demons and things like that. So
jinn,
realism,
more spiritual.
Their things are ephemeral. They're not ethereal and ephemeral. They're intangible. Sometimes you can't really fight them. You have to trap them. You have to contain them.
Like I thought it was interesting because I did a stream with Zax, and there was a guy that was Pakistani Muslim, and he explained it like their kind of religion conceptualized of like there's angels, there's jinns that are like the spirit, the fire spirit, the embodiment of the fire spirit, and then there's humans. And so you could see how he would think that maybe they're like the jinn kind of thing. It's an embodiment of the life force kind of a thing. And I think it was rather tastefully done.
At the same time, Ahmed, he's a very religious man. He is a very religious man. And I mean, the line he teaches to Bolvi, there is only one God, and this prophet is Muhammad.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting how he always was like drawing the calligraphy on the sand of that.
But at the same time, he's never trying to convert anybody.
Yeah.
And that's very important because he's respecting their culture and he's understanding. But like you guys said, Jed, that's a great thing you said there. He's trying to conceptualize it in how he sees it. And at certain points, he does kind of fall into... In the scene we're going to talk about next, where they go back to the hall and they realize that we're going to get attacked tonight probably. They come in the mist and nobody's drinking and they're getting ready for the night and they are all in there and we'll just skip right to it. They're awake. They feel the vent out there and then they burst in Mustang. When I first saw this, I thought we were going to get a Beowulf thing. This is one of the two major Beowulfs. I mean, you could say this is very significant. It feels like the attack of Grendel on the hall in the original epic poem, and then later on, it still feels like Beowulf. Like when they go after the mother, it feels like they're going after Cain. His mother was called Cain, wasn't it? Am I remember?
Yeah. Wasn't it Grendel?
No,
well, Grendel's the beast, but his
yeah.
mother Cain. Then Beowulf fights her later.
Hear that one. Hear that, Adam.
It's been a minute since I read that.
Yeah. They're all and Ahmed thinks they're all asleep. They're going to go to sleep, but no, they were all awake. And he actually fell asleep. And he's shocked awake by it. And as they're doing that, Herger goes, when it begins, we all form a circle, backs to one another, do that. And of course, Ahmed at this point, he's been given a sword, but it's too big for him.
I know he can't pick it up. That was funny.
They use some interesting cinematography in that scene that makes it feel incredibly claustrophobic. Without that wide shot, it makes it seem like they like hit themselves underneath the floorboards with how they integrate the roof shots of them climbing up top and the close-ups on them as they're down and the weird angles that it's like you're looking at the Norse dude over little brother. It's just some really interesting cinematography that they use to make it feel like everything's closing in around them.
And
what was the line that Hagar said to little brother? Because they had a back and forth saying like, "Hey, I'm not a warrior," and Hagar said something like, "You are tonight," or
"You will be
tonight."
Oh, you will be tonight.
And he draws blood. I mean, the attack begins, and again, like Jed said, the cinematography in this, the direction, all the Vendel are in shadow. All you see are these bare silhouettes. You see these claws. You see these weapons with claws, and you're still not even sure these are men because the way they're attacking and this and that, and again, silly, and I love it that it's Ahmed showing, he's not prepared for this. He can barely hold a sword. He's trying to hold a broadsword like a foil, and he's like, and he gets knocked aside.
Like
he
kills
gets a shot
one like just by accident.
He hits it. The guy's not dead because he picks him up. The line is later. They say even the Arab gutted one. He said there was plenty of life left in him because he picks him up and he throws him after he get him across the face with his bear claw club, which leads to a great scene coming up. But the fight is chaotic and we lose some of our 13 right away. I mean, right away the stakes begin. Our hero group now. They're some of the ones that don't really have names. They're just kind of there.
This actually gets into something that I agree with Jed more so than you on like some of the threads stuff. It feels so rushed that when people die, I don't, unless it's like the main,
I totally
the
don't
main
even
couple,
remember any of them.
I don't feel anything. Just
let's be
tell
honest.
me a name and let me see something. That's all I wanted.
That was one of my biggest problems with the movie is the character development. I don't have a real sense of anyone besides the two main Norse dudes and the little brother. I don't have a sense for their personalities really for the most of them.
There are five out of the 13 that we focus on. Ahmed, little brother, Bolvi, Herger, Mr. Dual Blade, Mr. Dual Wheel, I call him, Mr. Chestplate, and then Weath, the redheaded guy. Weath is played by Tony Kern.
Yeah, from Boardville.
Those are our five that we get a lot of. I mean, a couple other ones get a couple lines, but they die very quickly, or they die stupid. Like Jordan mentioned, the dude with the tattoo across his face. He dies in the stupidest way during the night attack.
Heck, the archer dies
stupidly too. Well, I mean,
I mean, there was some one of the things I found a big problem with is like, why did little brother even leave with them? That was like one of the weakest parts of the story. He's like, "You're the 13th warrior," and he's like, "Okay, I'll leave now." I wish there would have been some more like
he still has duties to perform as a diplomat.
Yeah, like why would he just leave with them?
Well, I think that actually makes sense when you say diplomat. You know, he was in Chosen. He's gonna go to
a specific place, though, not just to random people.
In history, he was kidnapped. He was told, "You're going." That's the
like
story.
if they had a scene where he tries to leave,
like,
which would be within his character,
drew
and then
swords on him and like, okay, you go
we
with us
need
now. That would have made
for
sense
his development.
I can accept that
scene though.
See, to me, I look at it like I told you. I'm looking at it like it's an RPG at that point, and I'm just instantly okay. He's in the party. That's my mindset. I'm not even thinking of he needs to be encouraged to go. I just like, he's part of the party. He's in. We're on our way. That, like I said, it's my RPG mindset when I watch this.
Well, it's a similar problem that I have with the Hobbit movies as well. Is it's kind of difficult to justify an ensemble cast or a group of warriors like this if you can't dedicate the time to develop them. And even the ones that they do have that they do focus on aren't developed. Like the one that we're talking about, the redheaded guy. He makes jokes. That's all we really know about him is he's the funny guy. That's not enough to call him an actual character. And and even the Bolvi, even him, he's the strong silent type, and that is enough to get a little bit of something. But it's nowhere near enough for me to call him a developed character. And even the main character, Antonio Banderas, is one. Besides his out of place Spanish accent that it doesn't even try to hide, is not developed very well, in my opinion. It's just like he's with them now, and he's gonna be a hero by the end. It's just not a whole lot of motivations. When it comes to the atmospheric stuff in this movie, I love it. Like we're talking about the Norse stuff, the mythology stuff, the direction, the cinematography, all that I love. But when it comes to the actual script, I find it extremely lacking in the minority of situations.
Yeah, I
pretty much
agree with you,
development.
'cause
It's
I
the
was
main
just
word
like-
that's non-existent.
It was just and then
Very and
instead
then.
of because therefore.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
Yep, it's incredibly and then.
I guess because I'm coming at it. I'm coming at it from a kind of different angle. I can see what you're saying, but those things don't bother me. I'm not looking for the deep characters. I like my basic RPG characters in front of me. I like the party members the way they are, and to me, this isn't so much a character-driven story, but an event-driven story. And the event, and they're just moving with the events, and that's good enough for me. And I'm okay with
I
that.
told my friend I was watching this, and he's like, I'm like, I think I probably would have liked this movie a lot better if I was like a 15-year-old boy.
Yeah, I could see that too.
I really
feel
like
like it's
this
a turn your brain off action movie. Like if I go at this like a Michael Bay movie, I think I would enjoy it more. But
Yeah,
maybe
there's
thinking
not a
of
lot
it
of
as a
depth.
script, I'm yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm approaching purely as this movie is it's a very even hero's journey, a fish out of water hero's journey, and kind of just mixed up with a little bit of mythic poetry because it pulls out it pulls from Beowulf, and the action scenes are realistic. You know, they're not drawn out as we're going to get into that. I mean, the brawl in the hall, it's just a hack and slash. Nobody's doing fantastic stuff. It's hack and slash. It's not drawn out. The first siege attack, the Fire Knight, that's just it's very realistic. And then the final attack is also well choreographed in terms of this is how it worked, and it's set within the rules that they established. So I feel like within the rules that this world establishes, everything fits into a place where again, yeah, like you said, there's a reason this movie is kind of a cult classic. It's not a major thing. It's not a major hit. It's not heavy with drama. It's not heavy with character development, but it knows what it is.
Yeah.
It's a Beowulf light, and it works with that. And if you go into it not expecting more than that, you have a good time. My criticism and we're talking. I would crack. I mean, your criticisms are more like technical criticisms, right? It's not full on. It makes the movie bad. It's just it leaves that at a certain level for you. It doesn't elevate it.
Basically.
Yeah, it doesn't make it bad. I just feel like I really wasn't the right audience for this, and I don't know. I mean, it just is what it is. Like I can't.
I think it either speaks to you or doesn't. I mean, we're gonna talk about some scenes coming up that I get chills still when they happen. I get chills because like or I feel sad. I mean,
well,
my biggest complaints are just certain characters. I wish I could have felt more. Like there's some characters that I like that.
Yeah.
If I could have just had you say a few lines and got your name, I think there would have been a little bit more.
I think it would have worked better as a TV show. Like it's incredibly rushed.
This is well before that era, though. Yeah.
Oh,
I think it would have worked. I think it would have worked better when it was supposed to come out. 1979 is when they were going to start making it. It was going to be released about 82, and Omar Sharif was supposed to be the original.
That's crazy. I was gonna say
that would have been great
if it had because it kind of felt like it wanted to be a Conan movie, but it wasn't campy enough. And I'm like, if this had that level of Conan movie stuff, I think it would have been much funner to watch.
Yeah, camp would have made a lot of it forgivable. But yeah, the opening narration was horrendous. Like I was immediately like, "This is I'm not enjoying this right now." That was so bad right off the bat. It was like, "Come on, please."
I love you, Jed. I love you, Jed. I love you, Jed.
Just wait till we talk about the final battle. Oh, you're really not gonna like me when we talk about the final.
I still love it. I
still love it, and I still love you, Jed. But
all right, well, anyway. After the initial fight, and after there's a great little scene where Ahmed is getting treated for his wounds, and he doesn't like it that it's cow urine distilled. But it's do you want to get an infection? And shut up. And the girl's like,
Okay.
"Don't get infection. Shut up."
Well, it was
Okay,
also
come tomorrow.
cultural because that's unclean. That is
Yes.
a
Yeah.
religious
Yeah.
complaint he
But-
has about that situation. So it's interesting how he's melding their cultures. That's the moment where he really starts to accept them.
And it's also, it's like, do you want to die? Do you want to die? Because this will get infected. Is that one clean?
Which
Come
Well, he'd already
morning,
drank the mead.
yeah.
We haven't drunk the meat yet. He hasn't drunk the meat
No.
yet. We're not there
But
yet.
come morning, the pus will run, and you'll
Right,
have a
that's
fever.
I like
Yeah,
that,
but-
like how they just kind of you have that kind of like stock female character that's like the healer that always comes and treats the warrior, and then they end up kind of falling in love. I think that's.
I'm gonna say falling in love. That was like, we're gonna die. Let's have sex.
Yeah, that's
We
Batman.
might
Yeah.
die tomorrow. Let's have
But they
sex.
always
Let's
have. They're usually in these kind of stories. There's usually like a character like that.
And
Yeah,
it's-
there's zero romance.
yeah,
Zero romance.
it's
It's
very
just,
like.
we're gonna
It's pure
die. We might
lust.
die. Let's have some fun one last time. All right, we're gonna skip right now to they go to the crone. They basically end up at the woman who was old when the queen's grandmother was young. And
Well, that
again,
skips. Oh
Hold
wait, we
on.
already got some stuff.
no, we're not building the siege stuff. Oh wait, is this before? or
Yeah,
after
you've
the
got to
attack?
build
Yeah,
the
that's
siege
the
stuff.
first
Oh, sorry, I
that's
skipped
the
over
before
the
the
siege.
crone.
Sorry, I skipped over the siege. The first siege.
'Cause
Sorry.
Crohn's after all that.
Sorry, I
Mhm.
forgot. Yeah, you're right. I see what Jit said about the final battle. I'm anxious to get there and hear his take on it. So I skipped ahead too far.
Way too far.
Yeah, way too far. Sorry. I got ahead of myself. The fast forward button went too far. Anyway, so now they prepare for the fight because they know that the Vendel are coming and the fireworm will be their thing. And again, there's the mix of the mythology and the reality. People think it's a fireworm, but in fact, we learn when the attack comes, it's just cavalry with torches.
I know. I
And-
thought
and-
that was so funny because I'm just like they think it's something, and I'm like, okay, what is that? And then you see it, and I'm like, okay.
I'm not
And
sure
Alvin
where
Herr
the,
goes-
the mythology came from, though. Like,
A
was there another
fireworm.
settlement? No. I mean, like, was there another settlement that was attacked by them and someone saw the
Yes,
fireworm?
Many,
Yeah.
many.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the dude with
And
the
they
eye
were
patch.
He was a survivor. Okay.
Yeah. He said the fireworm came down. Did the whole accent, but it came down
Yeah.
from the hills, spitting and throwing fire all over the place. And when you see it in a distance, you can
Mhm.
see
Yeah,
what they're
no.
thinking.
Yeah, I get that. I just wasn't. I
Yeah.
didn't pick up that the guy had already seen it.
Well, before that, they're setting up all the siege work. They're getting it done. And at this
I'm a
point,
sucker for montages like this, building defenses montages. Since
Yeah.
Magnificent Seven is one of my favorite movies. Whenever a show or movie does that, I'm just like, all right, let's build these defenses, baby. I don't know what it is,
And doing
but that gets
and
me.
this is where Ahmed's like, okay, I can't use this sword. And he basically has a blacksmith turn it into a ghetto scimitar.
He
Yeah,
turns
that
it
was
into it
funny.
himself.
Yeah,
He helped him
does.
out. He helped him out a little bit.
It,
'Cause the guy
no,
didn't get it. He's
he
like,
would've
curve
had
it.
to-
He's like, what? Curve it?
He
I
would
don't
have had
get
to
it.
melt it down for that though, because yeah, you can't just cut the sword the way it was into how he made it, because
I
the
understand.
angle is farther away at the end than it was
Yeah.
at the hilt. So he
I'm
actually it wasn't
willing
just
to
sharpening it
forgive it.
like they said.
I'm
like
willing
they
to
showed
forgive
it.
it. I'm willing to
Mhm.
forgive it because it shows that I'm willing to forgive it because it shows me you're not trying to have Ahmed, who is a fraction of their size, wield one of their swords efficiently. And it's showing, okay, you're not just powering
It's
him
great
up.
in concept. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
why I'm
the
okay with it.
size difference between them. They didn't try to like make up for it.
Yeah, that's
My-
why I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
My
Even though
favorite
it's not
moment, though,
realistic.
is when he in this whole scene. My favorite moment is when he's like showing off his skill actually with a sword, like he can actually use a sword. He just hasn't had a sword for him, and he's flipping around and stuff, and he puts it up to the redhead's neck and everything. He goes like, "When you die, can I give that to my daughter?"
Yep.
This is still a child's sword. We have big swords. But
And
then,
I
of
don't
course,
think they set that up very well, his talent with weapons, because that would have been something that he mentioned. He's like, yeah, I'm not a warrior. I am good technically with the sword. Like, that's something that needs to be set up more than, oh my God, he's suddenly a massive swordsman. Yes, culturally, I can see it from his culture,
Well-
but that's another example of you need setup and payoff, not just randomly out of the blue. It's like, oh, he's coincidentally, this random dude that they came across is actually a great swordsman.
No,
no,
I
it's
can
not-
go against that one right here because
I'm gonna.
he
I'll
is an
let Mustang
ambassador.
go.
He's an ambassador to the court. We know the ambassador to the sultans. Those are all military, highly military trained people.
They have to show it, is what I'm saying, though.
Well,
It's not
don't need to
something
show
that
it to
the
me.
audience
Don't
just
need to
has
show
to
it to me.
infer. That's from an expert perspective, though. The director can't assume that everyone is as knowledgeable as you are about Sultan
When this was
ambassador
written, Chad, that's
requirements.
where you're when this was done, most people knew it because we just had Conan. We had all the Sand and Saddles. This was established for us. As the
But
movie's
those are
aged right now, you may not be seeing what?
Those are Conan's not in our world, so you wouldn't have gotten Arab
But
ambassador
no,
lore.
we had all that generation. We were being taught about this from the different Aladdins, Sinbad. So many different movies came out during that time that we knew that. This was something our generation, me and Adam, would have definitely known. This is an ambassador. We know that these guys are highly trained. So
And
I can't say that I would have, but I accept this for the fact that, yeah, he does a little flourish, but when the combat starts, he's not exactly first of all, the Vendel are not exactly masters of melee. They swing clubs. He doesn't need. He shows that he's good at little blocking, and then he's good at being agile and just slashing them, and that's pretty much all it takes to fight them. So that's why I'm okay with him fighting alongside them at the level he does, because he's not doing anything masterful. He's not fighting another master swordsman or rebel. Fighting the Vendel is basically just dodge, block, and get a hit in because they're not wearing armor. Only the ones with the horns of power wears armor, and Bullseye makes short work of him. But
I can also believe that he can at least use some of he has some sword skills when he in the exposition dump, as you know, at the beginning when they're explaining stuff, hey, he has some historical background of being kind of rich, kind of in the court for a long time, having some areas in their royalty and whatnot. Even if he's not royalty himself, his family has been a part of that for a very long time. I could believe that he's had some swordsman training.
He has his long lineage that he sounds off his names when they're trying to ask him names. He has a very long lineage. But anyway, so Mustang, I know you like this next part where where they have to put Hrothgar's currently oldest son, because apparently he's a kinslayer, who's plotting. And here's a very cool part when as Lady Balefire called Medic Girl, we'll call her Medic Girl, is checking on Ahmed's wounds from the previous battle. She says the prince has the king's ear. He's saying your Bulvi wants to overthrow him. Do this. And is that true? And this is why I loved what you said before about the bond. And Ahmed Ernest says, no, that's not true. Bulvi wouldn't do that. He's my boy. He's not gonna do that. He wants none of this. And then and this again, why I, like Jed said, yes, it's not done enough, but I still buy into the camaraderie we have at level where he immediately goes to Bulvi Herger and says, okay, this is what's going on. And Herger puts into play his plan to stop what would be an attempted assassination on Bulvi and would screw them all over. Why don't you walk through it?
This is where one of the biggest problems with this whole thing is there's no setup that Hrothgar's son is plotting or evil or doing anything like. There's no setup for this. Where is the setup coming into this?
All we have is the scene from earlier during the meeting where he was trying to piss on Bulvi.
Yeah,
and the father said, "You shut up! You shut up! This is still my kingdom. You shut up." There's
not enough setup for this. That's where it's not there. Another 20 minutes in this film would have been even better. But we've got no setup into this. But yeah, they hatched the plot. He's going to go throw dirt on him and crap and get him to fight.
Well, he chooses a guy. He chooses his big bodyguard. Yeah, his big bodyguard. And it's an interesting scene. Angus, yeah. Why is he called Angus? What is this, Scotland? What is he called? That doesn't feel like a Danish name to me.
Why did they want to fight that guy? I was very confused on that.
He was the biggest and the strongest.
It was a lesson. As Herger says it, when Herger eventually wins the fight using deception, it's basically the whole lesson is they only judged us for how we looked. And now they can only judge us. They would only judge what we see, but now they have to judge what they can't see. So it's basically a lesson in subversion almost. Subvert their expectations. Don't let them make them wonder.
I think this would actually
why,
only
though?
strengthen the prince's position with the king, saying they killed our greatest warrior. They are not our friends. It's still like, hey, we're a threat. Don't mess with us. So they accomplish that
No,
perspective, but they don't accomplish the, hey, we're with you guys.
I
It
disagree.
doesn't make them allies. It only makes us distrust each other.
I don't agree because how they show the killing is through a Nordic tradition of fight, where you get 3 shields and everything. Like this is one of the times I watched this. I watched it right after a similar fight, where yes, this is something that happens, and in this fight, when you're kind of like showing stuff up, you have the choice to whether either kill the guy, which is the better option, like you leave him without shame, or you leave him alive and he's forever with shame. It's just a way to get things done in this style. So
no,
the guy
I agree that culturally they're not in trouble for it. I get that, but the prince is not going to be. He's not established as one who respects these people or their culture. So he's just going to weaponize this against the king, is what I'm saying.
No, this is where he can't weaponize it. Is Herder throws back the money that Angus was given to fight and protect him. He threw it back so that even if the prince goes to the king, there's other people that have the king's ear. They're going to say, they didn't. And they threw the money back at him.
And also the other people with the king's ear would potentially say he agreed to the fight. He agreed to all this. This was set up. Hey, we can't, just because the dude died doesn't change anything. This is part of our culture. This is part of our style of doing things. He fucked around and found out.
At the same time, I don't think there's enough time, because the attack comes that night. So there wouldn't be enough time for that kind of plot to play out further, because it's the end.
I felt like very confused, because I felt like they were trying to establish dominance, but I thought, like, why? If we're literally just getting the training montage and the defenses montage, it's very obvious that they need to all work together. So why are they picking a fight with this one guy?
Thank you. It doesn't make people want to be friends, even if it's culturally acceptable, even if it's, hey, they're not trying to depose you. It still doesn't make you want to fight next to someone.
I disagree, because the prince and his cohorts are massively disliked by the rest of the court. So his loss, it's not hurt. In my opinion, it doesn't hurt relationship, because the prince is a kinslayer, and everybody knows it's just something they don't say out loud. Therefore, I don't think anybody is shedding a tear. I mean, and Bolvi says this came at a great cost. We're going to miss Angus's sword tonight, but to leave the prince working, to lose Bolvi, to lose any of the actual remaining 13, that truly would have hurt more, because they are the stronger warriors, and the prince's meddling for his own ego in this moment was something they just could not leave on the side. They couldn't leave it in play. So, I mean. It's just I understand you're coming at this from you're looking at it from the rushed aspect of it and not enough time for it to develop, and that's why it's bugging you, and I understand that. I completely understand that. That's why you're having an issue with it. But taking that out, and I don't feel like we're headcaning in this, because all the events in play were spoken and put into place. So it's all the rules of the world were set up, and they're all functioning within the rules of the world.
I think at best, the general public's opinion doesn't change about the 13. That's the best case scenario from killing one of the greatest warriors. That's the best case scenario out of this.
Well, I don't know if he's their greatest warrior.
Their biggest warrior, because I don't see a normal townsperson going, hey, they killed this guy. I like him more. At best, it's, hey, this was a fair combat, whatever. I still think the same about these guys. It really doesn't accomplish much to make people think you're allies. At best, it keeps the status quo.
I don't think they were trying to make anybody think they were allies. At this point, it's a situation.
That's why they were acting.
No. They were acting, I think, out of self-preservation. Of, we don't want to get killed while we're trying to fight. I think that's what it is. I don't feel like they're not trying to win hearts and minds. The people are scared shitless. All they're thinking about is, are we going to die? I don't think anybody's thinking about, do we trust these guys? We're just happy to have bodies here. And
that was the whole point of the prince. The prince doesn't trust you guys. He's telling the king not to trust you guys. But the prince just
doesn't. The prince doesn't, and that's it. It's just the prince.
If it was just the prince and nobody else cared, they wouldn't need to respond to it. There would be no need to respond to it. And the prince hasn't been shown to be a dumb enough person to kill 13 great warriors. So there's not a whole lot of reason to act unless it is to prove that we're allies. And this doesn't prove that. At best, it's status quo.
I know, because I was kind of confused because it's not like this one particular guy did any insult with him. They just start throwing like dirt on this guy, and it seemed like they were the ones that started the problem. So I was like,
he pulled a Joe Pesci. He pulled a Joe Pesci on him. What? I'm dumb now? What? I'm old now? What? Are you saying I'm stupid? Are you saying what? He's pulled a Joe Pesci'd him. So, I see. I guess because I buy into this whole thing, I'm not being as critical with its rushing. I mean, you guys are coming at it. This is why we're doing the panel. We get different perspectives on it. And
I mean, I don't mind this story. I just like maybe they could have done without that scene and maybe had something else like that kind of.
I admit it feels out of place, but I think it was just Michael Crichton's attempt to tie up what he started with the prince being a bitch in the first in that entrance. It's like, okay, we opened that, this ties that up, and then that's done. And this ties up that little thing in that way, because now the prince is going to go hide for the rest of this. We don't see him again. Then the attack happens. Let's get to the attack, the first attack, where we do see some dumb, stupid stuff happen in terms of our hero group. When they rescue the kid and they discover the fire vom is in fact just cavalry with torches. I love Herger's response. Well, I would have much preferred a dragon.
That was a good line.
I think I would have preferred a dragon. Jeez. The attack begins. They've got the defenses and they throw the fire. They're throwing the fire in. They want to set the place on fire. Now, tattoo guy across the face. That's he dies in a stupid ass way, because we see the Vendel have they throw short spears. They've got short spears that they hurl, akin to what the archers are using on the Viking side. And he sees a torch land on the roof. And granted, you don't want to set on fire, but at this point, the place is going to catch on fire. Why did you expose yourself trying to get it while getting it? It's pincushion. Now it's just stupid. He's unceremoniously ganked like that. You're done. That was dumb. But we lose the archer in a stupid way in this fight. And
God, I get so pissed off at that scene just watching it, because like the movie, that's so freaking. You don't have a sword. You don't have a knife. You don't have something. All you have is your bow and arrow. Yeah,
he just stands there. He has one arrow in his mouth. He's not fast enough to knock it a second time. He doesn't even try to dodge. It's like,
all you need is some sort of hand-to-hand weapon just to stop that and then gank the dude back. You don't need to just be relying on your bow and arrow that whole freaking time.
I mean, most archers would have like a short sword or like a dagger or something.
Honestly, I think this is, to what you guys are saying, this is the culling of the 13 at this point. We're cutting it down to the core 5 who have had personality at this point. Because then giant guy who barked at the horse at one point, he gets Olaf, I think was his name. He gets pincushioned, and then they take his head. I mean,
I did like his death though.
He punched a horse. He
did. I saw that. I was like,
Conan'd him.
Conan energy there.
He came out there swinging. He was not going to go down without a fight, and it took a lot to take him down.
Yeah, he didn't go down easy.
The reason why the bowman got killed is he was going with the Sam Elliott rule of weaponry. When it comes time for me to need one, it'll be laying on the ground.
He didn't have one on the ground.
It's D&D rules. It takes an action to switch your weapons.
He didn't.
Screw that.
Roll initiative for that stick.
Screw that. I never believed in that. Oh, I'm going to take an action to switch weapons. No.
I know.
You can't shoot somebody at close range without disadvantage for some reason.
You can't defend against a attack of opportunity.
Yeah, so the focus of that little part of the battle is bad, but I think for movie purposes, it's the culling of the 13, so we get down to the primary 5, so that we can focus on them. But the important part of this is Ahmed coming to the realization that, one, they're not beasts, they're men.
Yeah,
and they can be killed. And he gives into bloodlust. That's part, to counter what Jed said earlier, part of at least this first battle, and later on too, it's rage. Ahmed, he goes buzz. He goes, maybe it's something in the air because the Vikings there. He goes berserker on these guys. And at one point, her goes, "Don't worry, little brother. There are more. There are more." And then it's just hack and slash until they fend them off, and then they retreat because I'm not sure why they retreat though.
Because they were taking casualties and they caused enough damage.
Okay. All right. I'll accept that. And then it's the cleanup, and now we're down to 5 and saying, "Oh yeah, so and so, one youngish blonde dude isn't going to survive the night, who we'd seen from a distance a couple of times." And we're down to our core 5 of Ahmed, Bullseye, Herger, Mr. Dual-Wield,
Blackfish. He's Chestplate.
And Blackfish, and Mr. Chestplate. And Mr. Chestplate. Is that Blackfish?
Well, Chestplate is Blackfish.
Okay, Blackfish. And Blackfish. We're down to those core 5 who've had the most personality out of all of this. Now it's time to go see Old Crone because they need direction. It's like, okay, she must have, if she's that old, she's seen it. Because Bullseye has the idea, let's go attack them. Let's go on the offensive. And that's where I'm like, yes, we are in total RPG land now. Your party of 5 is gonna storm the castle. Have fun storming the castle. I love it.
Well, I do want to say this is my favorite part of the movie, going to the crone and then through the caves. I love the cave sequence. Everything with that, the world building, the development of the Neanderthals. Yeah, and I'm a stealth player myself. That's how I play D&D. And the crone being all creepy, the Norse mythology aspect of it. Like, if this portion was taken out into its completely separate movie, I would give this a really high score. Just start when you're going to the crone. It's like, hey, we can't beat these bad guys, and then through the caves and pretend they won. I would give this a really high score.
Here's one thing
I love this section.
Here's one thing I really loved about it. Ahmed didn't know how to kill a bear or fight bears. He just the mention of bear. He had to ask him, "How do you do this?"
With dogs.
Yeah, bears aren't all that common in the Middle East.
I don't think there's bears in
the
desert.
And that was really smart, like, deductions that he did. That was one of the few times where I thought, all right, these characters, they're making decisions. They're being smart. They're investigating. Was him figuring out we need to look for caves. That was the first part where, like, Lady B was talking about earlier. That was, like, the first scene where it felt like because therefore rather than and then. He actually...
Yeah, I like that part too, like where they started talking about it, which is interesting because I never thought that they were like Neanderthals or anything, but I like that is a really, really cool idea, and I almost wish that they were more like less monstrous, but I think it kind of would have lost something in the movie, but that was just interesting.
Knowing that they're Neanderthals changes everything, because I thought maybe they were early interpretations of like natives and everything, like people believe that, because people believe like the Native Americans had connections with Vikings and stuff. I thought these are just the earlier iterations of that. So some of their ancestors, that's what I was picking up. Not
Celtic.
Through the crone, we get the solution for victory. There's two things. You got to break their will. What I love about this is orc rules. It's orc rules. If you break their will, they will come. No matter how many there are, if you break their will, they will scatter and then they'll break apart. The wog is over. The horde will break up without the will. And there's two parts to this one. Got to kill the mother and got to kill the man with the leader with the horns of power. And I love it. Basically, it's like Bullseye. You have to kill the mother. And it's just like Bullseye, the one with the horns of power. Him too, you must kill. And Bullseye's just like, okay.
That was interesting because it's like they had the same kind of like structure on their side, because it's like they had the crone and then it's like they had like the male like warrior leader too. So it was like kind of just like a parallel story for them because they're going for the crone or for the mother goddess figure and the leader too.
Yeah, and then comes the scene. They're tracking them. It's like they aren't afraid of us. And how do you kill a bear? These are men. They think they're bears. How do you kill a bear? With dogs. But how do you kill a bear in winter? You track them to their cave. Oh, is there? And then I love it. And then of course we get her earlier on, Mr. Dual-Wield, and we forgot to mention this part again. The payoffs. They talk about thunder and thunder cliffs. They're near the shoreline, and they have waves that are so loud it sounds like thunder. So just remember that part. But now it's like they come back. I found it, and Bulba's like, "Is there a cave?" I was like,
was
boom,
great.
Here we are. And you see this small settlement, no women. You see, there's no women with the vendors.
They're all inbred.
There's no chicks. That's a lot of them with not seeing any chicks.
They're not
just
binary.
Yeah, I don't know. No, they're all dudes.
Did you just assume their gender?
Yes,
you did.
To be perfectly honest, because we don't get we don't delve into like their culture.
Yeah.
You just have to assume.
They're
I
in the
assume
huts.
I assume that they all get to bone the queen, or at least the man
That's
with
a
the
lot of
horns
pregnancy.
of power.
What are you talking about?
That works in etymology because the queens can have hundreds of offspring. When it's one woman, one offspring per year,
Listen,
that it isn't quite effective.
Question: Was
It's
she
just
a
how my
police
brain works.
officer? Was she a police officer, Derby?
We're not. No. This
We're
is
not going down
evergreen.
that route, especially
This is
after the memes that
evergreen.
were made.
We are not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
No.
Anyway,
But like
Broke Derby
Rob,
again.
like we were talking about, I love the way that they're designed, their structure. Like you're talking about, you need to get the mother, you need to get the guy with the horns, route them just like you're talking about. The Neanderthals get so much development, and I love this section because of that. Like I feel like they're real, and taking them from the perspective of these are savages. They're not really all that developed or intelligent. It makes sense. Every decision that they make, the way that they operate, thinking that they think they're bears, it's so well written, so well realized. That's why I love this section and makes them great antagonists, because without like a single line of understandable dialogue, I understand these people just from reference clues, environmental clues. I understand their society very, very well.
What did you think of the Queen's deformity, Jed?
we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Wait,
Oh,
wait till
okay.
we get there. Wait till we get there. I want to go through the cave. I just want to walk us through the cave because it's really, like Jed said, it is a really great scene. Because the moment they begin the assault, when they kill the 2 sentry guards, then the music picks up, and they're going in there, and I love it. They're sneaking through. They're crawling around. It's like shit. And you see all the Vendel. They're eating shit. They're just chilling out. Because these are the grunts. We get lower. We get some more of the hierarchy who are part of the ritual shit.
When do we get to the
it was a good dungeon crawl.
Well, right now. Well,
Caves
right there.
of Chaos.
Yeah,
was that right at the
No, that's
right
after,
at the beginning though? Or
no. They're all the way in there. I think that's after they have swung down the waterfall.
Okay, that would
before the waterfall.
But it's
It
before.
would have been
Okay.
before the
Yeah,
waterfall.
because the guy's got the armor on. He goes, "I ain't taking this shit off for nobody."
You gotta kiss me first. You gotta
But
kiss
it
me
was
first.
once they stumble upon the statue and like all the bones
And
and
they
stuff
look
that
around. Yeah.
Yes.
you get that
Bones are-
moment from little brother where he says, "These are not men."
I was wrong. These are not
It
men.
was great.
It's like wow. Yeah.
Yeah, Kale,
It
you're
gave
right. They
me
were
a
eating the
Lord-
villagers.
It gave me Lord of the Rings vibes right there. And the scene was comedic in Lord of the Rings, but Gimli, like, don't look down. Gimli getting freaked out in the extended edition of Return of the King.
But you realize that these guys have been there for a long time, and they've eaten a lot of people. They've eaten a lot of people. They have that much leftovers.
But like, what was kind of interesting for me is that they have that giant like Neolithic man goddess statue there, and there's all of the bones and stuff like that, and it made me think of catacombs. So I was thinking, looking back, knowing that maybe if there were Neanderthals, like maybe this wasn't what these people thought it was, and this was like a burial chamber or something like that, or something. But I kind of like that because I was like, maybe this isn't bad, but you know that they are.
They've tossed the scraps, and that's basically that's like it's an altar. They built an altar out of skulls around it and around the statue, and that's basically the offerings. I think the scattered bones. Like, yep, we're done. This is for you, mother goddess thing. And then
Lady B is right. A lot of our cultures do have are derived from ancient stuff like that, from when we were undeveloped as a species. Like skull imagery is something that is put in altars like this. The catacombs are a very
like, I almost
sacred
would have
place.
liked it more if like there was some like it was more just like more of the like cultural misunderstanding where these people weren't like cannibals or something like that. But that's kind of the adventure story part of it. Like, might have been like a more like a less 15-year-old boy movie if it was like something like that.
Okay. No, I'm okay.
No.
Evil. These are evil.
Yeah, no, I'm people being evil, but it is a cool question to ask.
Yeah,
Like,
it is a question. Like, what
just
if there
something to
really
think
were
about.
like these kind of Neanderthal people
I'm
and stuff?
okay
I
asking
don't
that.
know.
I'm completely okay. No,
narratively, it's not effective.
Evil.
It's not effective
Yeah,
narratively.
it's not effective
just,
in this kind of story. It's just an
No.
interesting, like, kind of thing to
Exactly.
ponder.
I see what you're doing.
I wouldn't want it to be
fine.
true. It's just it is the case in even Norse mythology, in Norse cultures. Skulls and bones were used in a lot of ritualistic purposes that weren't considered unholy or dangerous. Like they reacted to it. So,
but I think
wasn't.
let me say this real quick. I think it's important to remember that these are not Danish. These are not Finnish. These are Neanderthals, as Mustang made us understand at the beginning of the show. These are not part of their culture. These are an invading species, basically, an invasive species that is going to eat you. They're going to eat you.
Right. No, my point is a lot of these cultures that we like, the Norse culture, were derived from previous ancient, more Neanderthal type primitive origins.
Or
and
like
so
if
this is
you've
what
done-
the Norse had been 1,000 years before this, or 7,000
Or
years
like
before this.
there was apparently like a time when there was like a big like moment when like humans and Neanderthals were living together. Neanderthal culture was pretty like advanced apparently, and it's not the right story for this story. I just think it's an entertaining thing to be like another story, because you couldn't have that kind of questions in this kind of a story, because that's not what this is about. This is an action adventure. They're not going to be asking times. They need to have something that's just evil, and no other questions. But
But also, you have to remember, like, I see what you guys are saying. The one that freaks out the most, though, isn't the Northmen. It isn't the Vikings. They're not the ones freaking out about the giant piles of skulls and bones and stuff.
Yeah, it's
little
like
brother who is the man
Yeah,
who's
that's
not
true.
used to seeing
And it's
this
not
stuff.
Arabian culture at all. That's so far removed from anything he would know about.
There are similarities between Norse and that, but not similarities between that and Arab.
Now we get down to the depths, and at one point they're commenting how far have we come into the earth. Really, are we going to come out the other side? That kind of stuff. And we get down to the worship chamber, the heart of this whole thing. And I love that moment where they're all just standing there, knives ready, and it's like, okay, what we do, we are now going to trigger the alarm no matter what we do. But they just come up and they just gank them all with their knives. Even Ahmed just ganks every one of them, stealth style. Of course, there's some dudes coming down the ramp and sees it. It's like, oh shit. And then Herger's like, okay, we're gonna hold this bull by, get in there and kill her. And now, having seen the movie, I know what's gonna happen. And this is one of those moments where ever have a moment in a movie where you know what's gonna happen and you always hope it's gonna end a little differently. And this is one of those movies for me. On the list was I always hope it's going to end slightly different. I always hope that Bolvai's going to be a little more agile, that he's not going to take the hit, because we go in there and there's just one dude and the mother. It's not the Horner Power guy. He was obviously someplace else, maybe fucking a dog. I don't know. And
possible.
Hey,
especially nowadays.
2023.
Yeah. Anyway, so he gets
Mustang?
in there. Oh, please, Mustang's he'll be back. But it wouldn't be a stream if Mustang didn't have to drop at least once. They come back in. So he gets in there, and it's a really good imagery where it's kind of the light and dark aspect as he's coming in, and then there she is, hunched over, and dude comes up, and Bulba's just like, oh, no, you don't. Boom! Takes out dude with a single swing, and then it's him and her, and you watch her in that one quick moment. She dips her claw, her extended claw, her bone claw, it's a claw weapon. You know, it's not her, but she dips it. And you're like, yeah, that's not going to be good. And then it's a confined space. So Bolvai loses his advantage as a seasoned warrior. It's confined space. He can't do a full swing, and he doesn't have his armor on because they had to ditch it to go swimming. And she's a little more agile, and he can't go get the hit. And at one point, he misses, and she gets him close and gets that scratch on his arm. And it's like, and show don't tell. You know it's poison. And just like, oh no!
And it's not.
And she makes a mistake, and she gets too close, and he spins and takes her head off. And it's like, yes.
I remember that poison is very potent.
Yeah, hits him right away. He stumbles back out, and everybody's holding off because it's a choke point situation. where they can hold everything home up, and then it's done. It's done. And now I'm like, okay, we're gonna die here. Okay, wait, no, there's a path here. Let's go. Problem is, during the fight, Blackfish got nailed in the chest real hard, and clearly some blunt even with his chest plate, the blow was heavy enough that he can't keep going.
He probably broke a few ribs or something.
Yeah, he has to stay behind, and he's like, somebody's got to do this. Somebody's got to hold him off, and this was a good day. That's the Viking way. We had a good fight. We had a good fight.
See, I love people who die like that, especially from these cultures. Like, I got to go sometime. This is a good day to die. Yeah, I love this section. Just like you were saying, show, don't tell. This was one of the moments where the writers trusted. There's like no dialogue throughout this entire area besides the beginning before they get into the caves. But once you're in the caves, understand everything.
You saw the blow on his chest. It's like, oh, he saw it. And he was like, ugh. But then now here's the follow through. Okay, he's done. He can't run anymore. He's gonna hold it. He can hold him for a couple minutes while they get away.
It's very probably take down one or two.
Yeah. Problem is, then he goes, and then what I love to follow up with your point, he goes there, and her goes, where is he? And Ahmed just goes, and Herger's just like, okay, he just accepts it.
Yeah,
he accepts it. He's on his way to Valhalla. He's good.
I'd give this movie like a 9.5 out of 10 if it was just going to see the crone through leaving the cave. Like, I'm serious. Like, this is perfection in every single aspect of it.
But it saves the movie for you a bit. It saves the movie for you.
It does save it a bit. And this might bring up bad memories for you guys. But when I've seen her long claw, I immediately thought of when we watched the Wheel of Time trailer together for season 2, how it wasn't a real claw. Her fingernails aren't actually long. It's like a jewelry long claw.
Yeah.
But I was thinking through the whole scene, how you guys were reacting to
it was a bone shape. Anyway.
But at least like in this, you can believe it. You can believe how they do it. She has her fingers bound together. So she picks it up and everything. So you can like, and Wheel of Time, it looks stupid and ridiculous.
Now here's the thing, though.
I was looking for.
As they're retreating, they're talking about it in the chat. Bullseye's already hurt bad. The poison is already hurt him. They can barely carry him.
They're not going to leave him alive, though. They take him.
No,
make sure he comes.
They're dragging him through there.
Camaraderie, no dialogue. We know how they feel about each other right from that decision.
You can tell that the 4 remaining men, they care about each other. They want to protect each other. Everyone has a different reason for liking Bovine. Actually, it's 5. No, it's 4.
Well, now we're down to 5. We were at 6. Now we're at 5. I think I missed it.
Okay. But they're moving on. They want to protect each other. They want to get out of there so they could finish this off.
They're okay with dying, but they want to get out because the job's not done. Power horns. Horns of power. He's still out there. But they get down to the bottom and it's a dead end. Just water. And to go in there. And as Herger's preparing to saying, okay, we fight by pairs, give God rest, and we makes a joke, oh man, now it's gonna rain on us too. And it's wait a minute. Thunder cliffs! Payoff from earlier. Now
I like how that it was little brother that kind of figures out it's the ocean and like we can just follow it because it's like it's interesting because when they take moments like that to show the cultural differences between the two groups of people, or between him and the Vikings, so it's another like payoff too with that is he has a different thought process. And
again, I love it. They all look to Bullseye. Bullseye is starting to die and they know it. He just goes, do we risk it? He goes, we do it. It's just we do it. It's
still
no
in
question.
Control.
We just do it. And they're like, okay, we're going. And everybody take a deep breath. And the joke is, hey, if we die, or at least we're just going to drown. Let's go. And they make it out. And I like the camera work of it, where, of course, there's light there, but they're doing the way you see them swimming, it's as though they are swimming in the dark, complete pitch black.
Like
you see them feeling around until you see the spear of light from the hole to get out of there. And they get out, and they're thrilled, and they head back to Hrothgar land. Of course, then they know it's not over, and they're getting ready to go, and Bullseye's dying. And they're go ahead.
Oh, this is Algrim brought it up in the chat. This what comes next kind of hurts my love of the scene, the cave scene. Is he's reacting to that poison so much so fast? how is he suddenly okay enough to get ready for the next battle and fight?
He's not.
It's not. He's not. That is pure. When we get to the final battle, that's pure. That's that concept of that last spring of life when you're about to die. It's that last thing of and that pure adrenaline.
Well, he should have gotten that when he was fighting his way out of the caves too. That's still.
I don't think so. He
To
wasn't
this
fighting
poison.
there. They were just running. They were just running.
Yeah,
and the situation it's that last thing.
The effects of the poison seem to diminish after they leave the caves for a little while.
I don't think it's diminishing. I think it's just it's wreaking havoc on him. I mean,
I think it would have been better played out if like he just was maybe like a little bit slow coming out of the fight, and then like when they get there, it's like, oh, you have this horrible festering wound, you know.
It needs to be
he was
gradual,
staggered.
not whoa.
When he started coming out, he was staggering. He wasn't like.
Yeah,
he wasn't having a whole lot of hard time.
Help
he didn't
him out though.
Well,
they didn't have to start helping him until the very end when they were getting through the water. That's when they started having to help him. They get back to Hrothgar. They say, "Hey, he cannot fight anymore. He's gonna have to sit this one out because he's on his deathbed," which leads into when he's coming out to.
There's a couple great lines before we get to that. That's the culmination. There's all the discussion about, and now here we go again. We follow through from a great point early in the movie. At one point, he says, he looks over at Amon and says, "Why you have such a long face for me?" He says, "I can't help it. I can't help it." We realize if we take into account Mustang's map and understanding, they've been with each other for months now. It's been months, and bonds have formed, and now they've shed blood together. And Ahmed feels for this guy. He likes this guy. He respects this guy as a leader, as a captain. And he says, "Why that long face for me?" As a king. And that's the next line. It's like, "Why such a long face for me?" Says, "I can't help it. It's bad." And he said, one would think that he's like, "I die a pauper, just these two hands." And Hrothgar says, "No, you will take my sword. You will die. You'll be buried as a king." And he says, one would think their life is great if their story could be told. And Ahmed just goes, "Yes, one would think themselves wealthy if that could be happening." And it's just, there it is. His chronicler will chronicle this tale of Bolvi and that the teaching of word, understanding that, speaking the words, speaking this, writing them down, sharing it, that it's there's more than just the physical. There's the effect you had on the world. And that gets me right there. It's like, man, there it is, that bond. I love that. And then you're at the end, and then then we're in the end game there, because now they don't know the attack is coming. They think they got a little more time.
They think they'll come at night, but then they're kind of desperate and not really thinking clearly. So the attack comes in the day.
Yeah, it's like he's gripping his sword like he fears he'll lose it, and they think they're coming. Like Lady B says, they don't. Suddenly there's the horn. Starts to rain, so we're not going to get the fire verm, but they're coming anyway. And you see everybody doing their last-ditch effort to get ready. We get that line we talked about. If they get here, don't let the children be taken, showing hardcore nature. And everybody is ready. And then Weath says, great line, "I wish Bolvi was with us." And as we see the cavalry start to come up, her goes, "It's just a small matter." And then you get this great moment. As it's about to happen, Ahmed realizes that I'm probably about to die, so I'm going to take one last chance to pray to my God. And he doesn't ask me; he just says, "In this moment, I'm just this insignificant thing here, and I've realized I've wasted my life. But in this moment, let me die a good death. Basically, let me die as a man should die. Let me show courage in these final moments." And he gets ready, and as he's putting on everything, get ready. Out comes Bolvi. Everybody stops. He is stumbling out. He can barely, and I feel it. I'm just like, oh man, he's there.
I just like when they all started like saying their little like prayer together, and then he does that too.
There it comes. There it comes. They say, "Lo, there do I see my father. Lo, there do I see my mother. And my brothers and sisters and my brothers. Though there do I see my line as it is stretched out, and I'm not going to butcher.
And it goes to each member. It's not just one person. Each member says it, and it ends with little brother.
Yeah, and
I love that part.
In Valhalla forever. And then here they come, and now here's and as they do that, see, now here's why I'm okay with Bullseye on Death's Door doing this. He comes out, he's got his good boy dog with him. And
the dog was great.
You see that dog. That dog takes out some Vendel during the final battle. That dog takes out some Ven, takes him out. You see Bullseye comes out, and this is that last burst of adrenaline before death. That's what it is. He is there, so that's birth. But also, I
like that part. I don't have a problem with that at all. It's like you know exactly what's gonna happen, and you're totally fine with it.
He's drawing on their energy when they do the chant. He's drawing on it, brotherhood, doing it, and that fills him, and he knows if I'm gonna die, I am not gonna die in bed. I'm gonna summon he literally summons every last ounce of strength he has so that he could be on the battlefield and die a Viking. And the battle begins. Now, this battle is shot, in my opinion. Now, yesterday I watched it with a more critical eye, as I usually do when we do these things that I usually do. The way it's shot is fascinating because all sound is sort of deadened, except for the sound of combat and the sound of death. Everything else, and in some cases, slow motion, then it speeds up for a second, slow motion again, and you see everybody fighting. And you see the dog fighting. Everybody's fighting. You see arrows, even the people. It's less. They know they have to do this. And there's just the one thing that has to happen. If you can kill the war boss, it could be over. And there he is. He points at Bullseye. Bullseye points his sword at him. He's ready. The fight happens. They get in there, and everything's going. And at one point, then Horns of Power charges Bullseye. And Bullseye just falls to the walls, swings the sword, knocks him off the horse. But before he can finish it, here comes some grunts in there, slashing him across the back. You just hear him go, oh! And I'm so into it, and it's just, I'm digging it. I'm sorry, I'm so into it. You have a hero doing the ultimate sacrifice, hero's last stand, and then the Horns of Power tries to make a move, but Bullseye ain't having it, knocks him down, slashes him, and then just Conan drives his sword into his chest, and he lets out the war boss death cry.
I know. It's like you know exactly what's gonna happen, and even though it's kind of silly and everything, it's like I don't care. It's awesome. Like it's like kill it, like do it.
All polyps I have like slip away in that moment. That fight, everything just slips away because you see this brutal fight that ends in such a kind of sad way, but
it's bittersweet. But it's just he gets it. And again, I love the orc rules. It's pure orc rules. The war boss is dead. Oh shit, boss is dead. Let's get the hell out of here. We're done. We're running. We're gone. It's over. This is done. He was the only thing holding us. We were afraid of him.
Yeah, I feel like this movie was so competently made. There weren't like technical problems or anything that I could say, okay, there's some story issues that don't work for me, but like
John McTiernan.
I don't care because I see it like for what it is, and I could get behind it and enjoy it.
It knows
like,
what it is. That's why
I like the cave scenes that had like what is that movie, like Indiana Jones vibes with like the kind of savage people living in the caves. There's like heads hanging off like vines and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said at the beginning of the stream, this movie knows exactly what it is. It doesn't try to be anything more than it is. And that's why it's fun. And then the victories happen. Like Hill just said, the victory happens and they all fade back in the mist. And I love that moment. I'm going to bring up what Mustang is sharing here. In a moment of victory, Bullseye just takes the sword, stabs it into the ground, and takes his seat on his battlefield throne. And watch him leave. And everyone's just like, yes, it's over. And then, of course, as they're celebrating their victory, then you hear the dog whine in sadness. And you turn over, and there's Bullseye. He's dead. He just died. But he died a hero. He saved it. It was because he was there. He gave them all the courage to fight, and he did what he had to do. He killed Horns of Power. And it was just, and he will be buried like a king.
When you get this final when you get this final death, you can see the Beowulf in it as well, especially
Yeah.
the
Yes.
trials that he does. Granted, the movie does it out of order, but Beowulf dies by poison, not by anything else. And then
but I mean, look at him. That is a look of peace right there. He is at peace.
And then it's cool because it ends the way it starts with the Viking funeral, and it's like at this point in time they're kind of shocked. Like at the beginning, they're kind of shocked that like the woman is gonna go with them on the boat, and now he just sits there and accepts it. It's like he understands what she has to do.
Well, the blood got pumping, Algrim. The blood got pumping, and the poison did its job, but he did his job too. He won the day. Bullseye, and this is why this is why I love this movie in the end. Bullseye was our hero. Not Ahmed. Bullseye was hero. We didn't. Antonio Banderas wasn't put in this to be the foreigner hero in their land. No, Bullseye was our hero, and I love it.
He was the chronicler.
The audience's proxy.
Yeah, and I love it. I love it that Bullseye was awesome, and I hate it that he dies, but it's just it was a good day. It was a good death. The people
he had to die. Like that's part of the story. It's like
I mean, and then Ahmed says goodbye to Herger. Herger's staying. Everybody else is leaving. They're going back where they came from, and and Ahmed realizes, and it's that come to moment where you understand different cultures doesn't matter. We were brothers on this mission. We became as close as one can be without blood, and he learned to appreciate that even though these pagans who love heathen gods, they're still good people.
And he writes it all down. I like it because it like reminded me of that. I think it was from Henry V, like Shakespeare, the Band of Brothers speech. It was like, "Whosoever stands with me on this day is my brother," or something like that.
That sounds great.
But that thing right there, it's just, and he leaves, and I really like that final shot of clearly it's been years because the scars have faded, a little gray in his hair, and he's finishing these chronicles of his times when he was a diplomat. And I like that. I like the way that ends. And there you go. There's the 13th Warrior. Like I said, it's a movie that knows what it was. All right, so.
And maybe I just didn't quite enjoy it like I should have because I'm not a 15-year-old boy.
I'm not a 15-year-old boy either, but I still love it.
I'm not either, but.
So,
yes, thank you. Algrim St. Crispin's Day speech. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Jed, what was your problem with the final fight?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So it's relatively minor. I do love his final conflict with the horn dude and him coming out in the prayers and all that. But besides that, the rest of the battle is really short, slow motion scenes. We just get a lot of slow-mo shots in order, and it's a visual repeat of the second act battle just at the daytime. Like having the final battle at the same location as the second act low point is kind of a strange choice that I don't think works very well. If it was just like the final conflict with the horned man, I think that would have been great. But it's those slow-mo shots, it was way too short. Like if this was going to be
like they did like really destroy that town. Like
I agree there. I always want that scene to be longer. That's my criticism of that scene is I wanted more out of it. That's always my criticism of that scene. I wanted more. I wanted maybe an extended battle with Horns of Power.
Yeah. I would rearrange things a little bit and combine the second act low point battle with the final act battle and have another similar, like a claustrophobic tavern fight as the second act low point. Be like, hey, we're going to build our defenses, but we need to still go on the offensive because we can't trust.
A raid or something like that.
Yeah. And then they go out and do the cave stuff, and then they come back and you do the wyvern thing then. And you just make it one big battle because
make it more scary. Like at the end,
that's a legitimate criticism. That's a legitimate criticism.
Just splitting it up narratively, I don't think works very well. Especially the only difference is it's during the day instead of at night. That's not a whole lot of visual difference. And then you just get a couple shots in slow motion, and that's like the entire battle. Besides the hero fight. The hero fight's great, but that end battle needed to be so much more than it was. Besides the hero fight, the final battle for everyone else is just like, we're standing here, guys. We're in this fight. Hey, audience, we're here. And now look at the hero fight. It was a big non-entity for the other characters besides the leader.
Maybe one day we'll get the Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I agree with what you're saying, and my breakdown of it is perhaps maybe John McTiernan wanted it just to be not overshadowing the moment of the sacrifice and the last ditch effort of Bullvi to be out there. I think maybe a larger battle, even though I agree, I would like to be more.
Yeah.
Maybe a
Or
larger
maybe
battle
just single
would have
combat or
overshadowed
something.
that.
Yeah, that's what I would have done. Is if we didn't want to do that, I would have them at a different location, them trying to flee after the cave scene, but they can't get away. Like they're trapped somewhere in the woods somewhere or something like that. And you can still have that powerful moment where you like hear them in the woods, you know they're coming, and it just comes down to them alone, completely separate from the town, no backup, and then make it the hero fight to make it more intimate on the hero. And that makes it visually different enough.
But the only
from
problem
town.
with that is then Bullvi's sacrifice is not seen by all. And Bullvi's sacrifice, the power of it is that the townspeople and everybody, that it's something that, yes, Ahmed's going to chronicle it, but it has to be something that would go down in legend, seen by many. I think that's part of it.
Do we still have that picture of the final moment of Bullvi? Do we still have that up?
I can get it.
Mustang will have to get it again.
Well, in that final moment, and it's in that picture, there's a townsperson sitting there like mourning the death of Bullvi. Yeah. Like you don't get that if it's just out somewhere else. You need that moment of these people don't know Bullvi all that well, but he's a man from another land.
Combat, guys. A single combat would be cool.
He's a man from another land that came here to protect us. That was his job. He had no connection to these people. He had nothing, and he came here to protect us, save us, and he gave his life. That's why when you see that old man there who doesn't know Bullvi, really doesn't know him that much. I think
single combat would have worked too, because it going with the animalistic side of things, wolf alphas have been known to like fight for control of a pack. Like there's still animalistic precedent for establishing a one-on-one fight.
Well, Lady Buffalo, we just said in the comment in the chat, I don't think the town was destroyed, just the hall got burned. Because remember, they built fortifications around the main hall and they abandoned the general town. So I don't think the town was itself destroyed.
It just seemed like it seemed like a lot of stuff to destroy, and then that's where the end of like battle is. I don't know.
But either way, I'm okay.
Maybe one day we will get the 1 hour director's cut that has never been released.
Oh,
well, it did, and it seems to have all disappeared.
Who owns this right now?
Don't know.
I don't know. Whoever owned Touchstone.
Touchstone. I thought they were a subsidiary of
TriStar. Touchstone TriStar.
So that's Sony.
We should be Columbia, which is Sony. Yeah. So this is in a Sony vault somewhere.
And it ain't
Sony,
coming out
if you're
because this was a
listening,
flop.
give it out.
It was a flop.
Oh yeah,
I want it.
So do I.
It's such a cult classic.
Right.
Drinker loves this
net,
movie.
if you can ever find it.
All right, we're coming up on 2 hours, so let's give our scores. Mine is irrelevant because you kind of already know how I feel, so I'll save mine for last. Let's go. Let's work our way from bottom to top. So Mustang, your score.
You want mine? Hold on, I'll show you mine.
Can't you just tell me?
No, I cannot just tell you. That would be too nice.
Oh my god. You actually. All right. He's broken it down into 9.2. Everybody can read that while we get everybody else's score. Oh my goodness.
I gotta let everybody know up front before anything. This was the first video I was going to break down on my channel. So that's why I have so much of this stuff already.
All right, Lady B, what is your score on this?
I mean, like, I want to give it like a strong 6. Like, it wasn't. It is what it is, and I can enjoy it for what it is. But it's like it wasn't a masterpiece for me. I had a lot of questions, and I either it needed to go more in the camp direction or needed to go into like more of the heart direction. But I realized it's not my movie, and I didn't think it was awful, but yeah,
a strong.
I'm not its intent. I was never its intended audience from the beginning.
And that's fine.
No, you're not.
No, Jeremy.
Well, I'm just gonna share this real quick because
oh my god, starting a trend here. What the hell?
Devil. No, I didn't do anything. Devil made me do it. Jed, I meet him on the meme stream. Made this because I love this movie, and even though I love this movie, I have to admit, it's like a 7. It's a 7 out of 10. It is not
7?
a fantastic
Wow.
movie.
It's kind of like how I feel about.
Like I said,
300.
I had criticisms. I think there needs to be some more.
criticisms about it too.
I think there needs to be more character development. I think there needs to be maybe some more time given in certain areas, extended out in some places. And also, if a goddamn guy's coming at you and all, you better have something other than just a fucking bow.
All right, I think we're gonna get our lowest score now from Jed.
I did enjoy this movie. I don't want people to misunderstand this. I did.
I'm just giving you shit. I'm giving you shit.
I know. I did enjoy it. It was a fun time. I loved the mythology, the world building aspect of things, but the writing, the plot, and the characters were very, very subpar for me. And kind of like how Lady B was saying, I don't feel like I'm necessarily the right audience for it, and so maybe I don't appreciate it as much as I otherwise would have. So if it weren't for the cave scene, like if the cave scene and the crone scene wasn't in the movie, I'd probably give this a 4.5 out of 10. But with the cave scene, I'm gonna match Lady B with a solid 6.
Solid 6 from Jed. I'll put that up there. A solid 6 out of 10. Okay. I give it a 9. 9 out of 10. I mean, I acknowledged a lot of the criticism. I shared some of them, and that's where it loses points. But I watched this movie, and I have a fantastic time every time I watch it. I'm so happy. I connect with Bullseye. I connect with Ahmed. I like the themes. And like I said, one of the things is at certain points, it's really appealing to my RPG gamer aspects.
I can feel like if we're just talking about this straight up, like if this is like a D&D like game or something, I can totally get behind
very
it.
similar.
So it speaks to me on a lot of different levels. So that's why I have a good time. And I mean, I put it in yesterday night after FNT, and I just went, I'm going to watch this now. And I had a grand old time. I was very glad I took the time. I was glad I took the time to do it relaxing last night and not stooping it into the middle of the day to get it done before the stream tonight. Even though I wouldn't need to watch it. I've seen it so many times. I wanted to watch it because I have a good time. And it's that what does it for me, and it's I love Bullseye's final moments. His final sacrifice. I get the feels, man. I don't get misty-eyed, but I get the feels because I'm sad because Bullseye is so cool. I just like him. And I agree. Characters could have gotten more, but I go back to what I said at the beginning. This movie knows what it is, doesn't try to be more than it is, and therefore I'm not expecting more than what it gives me. Therefore, I can just check out and enjoy it and give it a 9 every time that I watch it. I'm happy. It's a reason I own it. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't own it, but I like it. I own it. It's always a good time. So that's it. 13th Warrior. A couple of us recommend it. A couple of us will say it's good for one watch. We'll never need it again.
It's a
but
good
you know what?
popcorn movie.
It's a popcorn
Diversity
movie,
of opinion.
yes.
Diversity of opinion.
Like,
is
I don't
okay.
regret
Yeah.
watching it. It's like
Yeah.
it's been raining
Yeah.
here. Like, you know, I wasn't feeling
didn't regret
good. Like it really like I enjoyed it. I mean, I was paying attention when I watched it and stuff. I appreciated seeing something that like was competently well made, and I was just excited. Like I realized too that there are certain like generic, and I say that as in genre, not like generic, like just it's any random old thing, but there's certain genre conventions that are made for a movie like this. And I also realized I'm not the target audience. Like I wanted a little more story driven stuff. I like my toxic masculinity, so I appreciate what was in this. And I was like, you know what? If I was like a 15-year-old boy watching this, like when I did,
Stop saying that.
I love my toxic masculinity. Come
You
on.
can't call me a 15-year-old boy, basically.
I got to ask Jed a
When
question.
did you watch
that was
this
when you guys got your
movie?
first
We were,
exposure.
I was over 20
teenagers.
when I first saw this movie. I was over 20.
Oh my goodness, yeah, because
I
I was
was
like about that age when I saw
six.
it. I remember seeing it with like my mom when I was in high school, and I'm like, yeah, this was like a cool movie. It wasn't bad, but like I don't know, maybe I would have liked it more if I was a guy. It's like I'm like a dude bro.
I think it's a story perspective because I'm more towards that 15-year-old boy than anybody on the panel, and I did not react to it
because you're looking for something different, and when I saw this, I wasn't looking for anything. It was just there, and like I said, I think it's video game things really. It hits the right notes with me, and that's just plain and simple.
I know, like
and
I remember seeing it now as an adult, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna get the dungeon crawl down. Like I totally saw that part. Like there's a lot of reasons like I appreciate it and I had fun watching it. It's not like I hated this movie. I probably watched it again.
I know, but you're giving a mature response to it, and you're giving an honest response to it. And again, that's why we have the panel so we can talk about it. This would be boring if we all gave it 10.
If we all agreed, and this is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, like one of my movies that I call like my trash favorites is like I love 300. Like, and I like that. And I was looking at comparing it to it and it's like I like the character interactions in that, and they do a lot more in that story to kind of like cement the band of people that we have. I'm like, I wish we would have had like some like kind of funny little exchanges with the guys with this, so I felt more like it was a cohesive band.
Jed, I got a question. If you, Jed, were born, say, 1970, 71, grew up through the 80s of the Sand and Sandals, do you think you may have enjoyed this more with that kind of experiences leading into it?
I don't necessarily, because I've seen a lot of those Sand and Sandals movies.
I love the Sword and Sandal movies.
Better.
I've seen like a ton of them, and I just felt like it wasn't like there. Like I'm thinking like a really classic Sword and Sandal movie is like Spartacus, and it's like there's kind of like the 3 or 4 people that get band together, and it's like they really made a thing. I almost think it was because of the 13 people that they had to have, and there were so many people that they never really made that initial bond. And I also thought it could have been like if they would have like maybe framed the original like need for the warriors to be there, or like some like the initial reason for them going out, and they picked like we were looking for the best of the best and we need somebody from the outside or something like that. I felt like maybe it would have looked better, but
then it's a different story.
I'm with her on that. Yeah, the other Sand and Sandal movies I think are just generally written better, or they have another aspect to them that makes their lack of writing quality forgivable. Like campness is a specific thing. If you're trying to be campy or you lean into the over-the-top Fast and Furious type stuff, then it's okay. It's excusable to have shallow characters. And so even just comparing this movie to the other Sand and Sandals that you're talking about, Mustang, even if I had grown up watching those, I don't think I'd have much of a different reaction unless I was really young when I watched this and didn't know any better. Like it's a good turn your brain off type movie. And as a kid, that's all I could do. I wasn't equipped to evaluate it like I am now. So it's, I think, more the age. If I were a kid watching this, I'd have a different reaction than if I was a kid then reacting to it.
That's the thing.
Date would have affected it.
We're asking you to evaluate this with a critical eye. That's the point of these discussions. We want the critical analysis, and the chat will have their opinion and we'll have our opinions, and we create good discussion. We've had a good discussion tonight.
Critical analysis is what I gave it to for the review at 9.2. I told Adam earlier in the week, this is a solid 10 with me. I will never not watch it if it comes on.
Yeah. I'm a guy who loves this movie. I have several different copies of this movie. I watch it constantly. I turn it on for comfort. I still give it a 7. I don't think it's the greatest thing ever. I think there's tons of problems with it.
Because you're being
I love it.
honestly critical. Like
there's a lot of Doctor Who episodes I do the same thing with, or recently Bullet Train. I thought it was written like if I were reviewing Bullet Train from a writing standpoint, I'd give it a 4 maybe, but from an enjoyment standpoint, I gave that thing a 9. But
that's a factor. We have to factor all these things, and we all find different enjoyment from it. And again, but that's why these discussions are good. That's why we started this show, so we could talk about these movies, and we all bring in different movies.
And you can look in the chat. You got Algrim the Strong giving a 9.8.
Algrim 9.8.
I'm not going to be able to say your name. Kaladar gives it a 9, and Grump gives it an 8.5.
Yeah, and Grump loves this movie too. Grump loves this movie too. So I mean, we are done, guys. Therefore, Jed, have you chosen the movie for next week yet?
I have, and it's gonna be a unique choice that I don't think my other panelists would readily choose. In fact, I know Adam isn't a fan, but it's one of my favorite movies that I've ever seen, and that is I believe it's 1996, might be 1999, premiere movie that introduced the world to Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and had the incredible Robin Williams in it as well. I'm talking about Good Will Hunting.
Make me watch Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting.
I've seen it all of once, and
It's a good movie. It's not something
I don't think my partial photographic memory wasn't fully working yet, so I only remember parts of it. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. So this should be interesting. I could say now I'm definitely coming in with a little bias, so I'm gonna have to relegate that and watch it with a proper critical eye. But never not seen it. Just it was a very long time ago, and
I remember it's something that's definitely talked a lot about in like screenwriting books. And I think I know I've read the script. I know I've seen the movie. I just honestly don't remember it. Probably just because it was at a time when I had to watch so much, read so much. But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it again and just kind of maybe taking it.
It's very character heavy, so
yeah.
Next week, Good Will Hunting, starring one Matt Damon and Robin Williams. All right, guys, I want to thank everybody being here. I want to thank the panel. Everybody's links are in the description below, except Mustang's because he hasn't decided to get his channel up and going yet.
It's up and going.
We haven't focused on it. We haven't focused on it.
He has Mustang, right?
Actually, the problem is, whenever I try to type it in, I don't know. It doesn't give me the right back number because you didn't solidify your handle. You need to give me your right handle.
At Mustang Ride 1, and it'll come up because it's one.
I
it's
tried
like 17
to tag him
something.
in my community post with that, and it didn't come up.
Yeah. If you give me the right handle, I can put it in there. That's one of the reasons.
I put in the full handle, and it didn't come up.
Let me go to my channel. Let me get it for you. We'll do this live on air, so I can
just put it in the private. Just put
Mustang
it in the private
Ride
chat.
1957.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll try putting it in.
Smaller channels don't come up.
Sometimes
it's really
they don't.
difficult to find them until
Sometimes
they hit
they do.
50
Sometimes
subscribers.
Wait. I almost had it.
You can put them both in there. I run both the channels. And actually, after my shorts, my subscribers are going through the roof this week.
Awesome.
There it is. Okay, now it came up. Usually it doesn't come up. Or it was without the handle. Without the numbers, it doesn't come up.
Yeah, Dermy got it.
Yeah, well, you got it. Yeah, you got without the handle, without the number, it doesn't come up. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the big problem.
Yeah, that's why I made sure I grabbed my handle as soon as they were offering them. I didn't want to lose it and you have a number next to it. I've done that in MMOs where I don't get my ROAS tag, and it's like they make me have to spell it weird or put apostrophes in it. Pain in the ass. So every time I know I can get my handle, I freaking get it what I'm doing. Anyway, so we are here. We are done. We thank you, panel. We thank you, chat. If you're watching on the replay, we hope you had a good time. Remember, hit that like button, subscribe to everybody's channels, and we hope you have a good rest of your day and evening. We will see you back here next week with another episode and with, as we said, Good Will Hunting. Good night, everybody.
Chevron 1, coded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed your hunt. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Cry hammer, and let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2 is coded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
It's all in the reflexes.
Well, also said you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
That's the line you can, little boy.
Great Scott. Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass!
I thought I'd die fighting side by side with Al.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.